Yeah, it was great.
I think 3 bottles of
Chianti.
Yeah.
So we went through.
You know what
3
thing is
bottles of
great
wine.
about what happened yesterday and why it kind of made me really happy? It's like, when I went out with my family, I have a big family, and so we always can't spend the things that we want to do. It's fun because I got the things I always wanted to get when I was a kid. When my parents didn't really do appetizers, when I was a kid. We didn't do desserts and everything, and it's great. It gave me a little bit of like affirming childhood of like, this is really nice that I get to, I love my parents, and I always loved going out to eat with them, but, we had to make money stretch.
We went big. We went big.
Nice.
We had
Hard to the hoop.
multiple appetizers, multiple desserts. There were cocktails. There were breadsticks. There were salad. We'll get through all of it. Roars to UM. We had a good day yesterday. Buenos dias, Jorge.
Oh, I wish I could say the same.
Right, welcome.
Jeez, man. I texted Emily, 8:40? Like an hour?
Yeah, and you were like, I'm going to be like 20 minutes before the show.
Yeah.
It was what I was projecting to
And
be,
then
like
it just
9:40.
kept adding. I'm like, oh, I'm screwed now.
There's something going on this morning
something going on.
because I had a double Locked On Rams today, right? So we did the Thursday Locked On Rams, and we pre-recorded the Friday Locked On Rams.
That's a secret. You shouldn't have said that.
It's okay. It's okay.
Tomorrow's podcast is a fugazi.
Totally new show. You will notice that I might have the exact same sweatshirt on, but I don't think people are. If you're a part of the YouTube component, you'll see that. But so I left my house early this morning. I usually leave 5:45-ish. I left about 5:25 this morning. I actually got here later today than I typically do. So there's something in there. Glad you made it safely.
I was also late, and I was only to my own devices. The reason why I was late, I just
Did you oversleep?
got out of bed late.
It happens. What are you gonna do?
I dealt with an overturned truck or something, and it blocked 3 lanes, and then 2 lanes were open. So GPS is like reroute. And,
LA, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Once
No,
you're,
there is a little something right now on the roads because even me just getting from Pasadena, it's like 45 minutes to go 12 miles.
Yeah.
Usually it's about a half hour. All week it's been 45. So.
Yeah. Hopefully
Is Mercury in retrograde? I will
That's
check
an
that right
Emily
now.
question. Yeah, figure that out. So we had our Olive Garden feast yesterday. Emily, of course, won our regular season picks. We're going to do a breakfast feast based on the postseason picks, which we'll have coming up later today in the 12 o'clock hour. So make sure you stick around for that. It's
What segment?
The 12 o'clock hour, which is accurate.
Okay.
Right.
12:30.
12:30, which is in the 12 o'clock hour. I have a very narrow lead, 2 points over you, Al, and Jorge, and only 6 over Emily. So we're all bunched together. 21 points per week, so it can change pretty dramatically.
Did we have spreads, too, for the Super Bowl that was 6 picks as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So there's 42 points left on the board. There's a lot going on.
Left to right.
So what do you think? How did it go for you yesterday? Well, we'll kind of go around the room and see how it was. Did it live up to the hype? You got the tour of Italy.
Well, let me first say, we kind of don't do that enough.
I know,
which is a little bit of a surprise that we don't. But it was. I haven't been to Olive Garden. I think I told you this. I don't remember, so I can't tell you. I know it 1,000% has not been. It's been at least 10 years, and I'm guarantee you it's longer than that. I've been to Olive Garden a long time. Gotta be honest with you. Yeah, I wouldn't mind going back to Olive Garden.
I'd go back in a second.
Yeah,
I'd go back in a second.
I mean, I think the what do we get? The calamari. We got the mozzarella sticks.
Cheese pull, man, that was great. Cheese
You got a
pull.
good pull, Em.
It's good.
I thought the salad was good. The breadsticks. I don't know what kind of which cheese.
What was that sauce that you dipped the bread in?
Alfredo cheese sauce. Yeah.
Okay.
Why don't you go ahead and dip a little bit of that in there? I mean, still to this day, and I already knew my favorite was post meal. When we got to get in for the dessert.
Well, you were on the warm Italian donuts like 2 weeks ago.
That was going to happen. Yeah, that was already going to happen. The coffee was already going to happen. We got the sides of the chocolate and the strawberry, I think it was, the kind of the dipping sauces for it. I didn't know you had that kind of self-discipline. But
we'll get to me. Let's not focus on
Talk about your favorite part.
Yeah, we'll get to me. Let's not.
What was your favorite part of the meal?
Well, no, wait. I can't not talk about the warm donut situation without. I was just so shocked.
You were a bad guy yesterday, like for real. No, you were. I'm telling you, from where I was sitting, the donut part of it, where I was sitting, you were basically trying to push me to the dark place. And I didn't.
You know what I wanted,
and you were aggressively making it happen.
All I wanted was this. I just wanted, because they're not big. People that don't know, there's 8 kind of like small.
It's like a beignet.
Donuts. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. But they're small. They're not that big. I didn't know that you were going cold turkey completely. I know that you weren't going to go hard to the hoop with your actual meal because you've been, since the new year, you've been making it happen. You're doing your thing, walking your steps, watching what you eat, the whole thing.
And I'm positive.
And you're positive. Sometimes. But I was just, I thought you were going to, I just wanted you to have one of them because I didn't think it was much. So then I had to go from have one to,
Just have one, Trav. Just have a bite.
But then I was like, okay, well then just have a bite, right? You wouldn't have anything.
So
like
much,
just one shot, just one shot.
Right. That's just like, look, I know you've been in rehab for a while, but just one beer's not going to hurt you. You see, this is the part that you haven't connected with in your brain. And I understand it, that only somebody that struggles with this would understand this, right? It's much like anything else with, I can't do one. There's no benefit in one. I can do 0. But I can't do one. And I sure as hell can't do a bite. That's an insane proposition.
And there's also 2 Taco Bells within walking distance. You could have had that shame spiral start going.
I don't think the Taco Bell was an issue. I don't know if it was just more to do with those specific desserts over there. If your fork got into the cake.
It didn't matter if it was the cake or the donuts or that big giant plate of spaghetti they sat in front of me. If I had one bite of that, I would have eaten it all. So I had to have no bites of it.
In my tour of Italy, I think the lasagna was my favorite of the 3. Chicken parm was good too, but that was my favorite of the.
No
of the
Alfredo
3.
love?
Not a big.
That was the one thing that was left on both of their plates.
Yeah, kind of. But I would not order that to begin with. So I'm just.
You didn't
not
feel
crazy
like
about it.
having 9,000 calories for lunch?
I had 9,000 calories for lunch. I didn't feel like having 14,000 calories for lunch.
Dude, my drive home was tough.
It
was
put it to this way, I was mapping things out. You never knew.
And you know what? Emily had a 5-minute ride home. And
I
that
thought
was
of
great.
you. You were home and doing whatever it is you do when you get home,
In
and I
6
hadn't even
minutes.
got on the freeway yet.
Yeah.
And I had a. You want to ask the question?
How long?
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess here. So we left probably after 3:30. So we're closer about.
It was like 3:30. It was like 3:38 when we got. Like I know specifically because the number jumped out at me.
Get you a nice little 2 action there.
Keep going.
2:15.
Yeah.
Jesus Lord. 2:15.
2:50. Emily had gone home. Whatever. Take a shower. Get ready for trivia.
Yep.
Take a nap. Read a book.
Whole thing.
Whatever it
Went
is
to
you
the
do
gym.
when you
Yeah,
get
Started
she
home.
from
did
Salt Lake
everything.
City.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the Real Housewives, all of it, and I was still downtown.
Took me 1
to me.
Yeah.
Well, for me,
1 to Pasadena.
It was a long.
Next time, you guys win.
I know.
Regular
No,
season.
I'm not complaining. I'm just stating the facts. And Emily, you got the app. The apps were there, but you also had a couple of cocktails, which were very pretty.
I
Yeah,
was
very
very happy with these
colorful.
cocktails, and
Yeah.
they were great. I think my favorite was the strawberry limoncello margarita.
Look good.
Had some sugar on the rim, had
Sure.
some strawberries on the outside. That one was probably my favorite of the 2.
The other one
next,
was more like purple.
Yeah, the next one was Sicilian Sunset, and I
Ah.
think I didn't totally love the mix of pineapple juice in it, but
Okay.
again, both I drank them all.
I was going to
so-
say, I did notice that you finished them both.
yeah, I don't think that I'm gonna be debating that one. But yeah, they're both they were fun. They're fun drinks. I was like, I wanted to order the most colorful drink on the menu, and they got rid of the blue Sicilian, I think is what they used to
Oh.
call them, and so I had to go pink.
Is that like
So,
a blue Hawaii kind of thing? Or
essentially?
whatever?
Yeah,
That-
very similar to a blue Hawaiian.
yeah.
But yeah, I was very satisfied with my scampi. The strawberry cake was amazing. That's my favorite kind of cake. I like that kind of cake, which is like a kind of like a almost like a tres leches, but it's like a very spongy, milky, strawberry, like fruity.
Yeah, I might have had
cake.
a couple bites of that too.
Ugh,
Might
yummy.
have just
Great.
Oh, yeah, that was
because the way it was angled, right?
I know.
You
Yeah.
guys were working on one side, but since I was across from you guys, I kind of had the whole backside.
We all
to
had a
myself.
corner, right? We all had
Yeah.
a corner, but
Yeah.
one went untouched.
Yeah, I don't think it went untouched. I think my fork was working on his corner too.
And what was great too is when I came home after trivia, it was kind of like a later trivia night. We got out kind of later. I got home probably like 11:45, and I had 2 breadsticks that I could eat.
Oh, that's right. You got the breadsticks to go.
Yeah,
Yes.
you gotta go.
That was
And they
bold.
okay.
They harden up
How
a little.
it used to happen was that you get the full complement of breadsticks that you normally get on a table. They would put in a to-go bag for you.
Which is
so that's usually
4 or 5?
6, 5, somewhere in there.
Okay, what'd you
and
get?
I think they gave me 2.
What?
I was like, okay, I get it, but like,
Do you warm them up when you get home?
Wait,
Do
why
you
they
wrap
give
them
you
in a
2?
wet
I'm
paper
confused
towel
here.
and zap them?
I don't know why they gave me 2. They probably are like they probably had some sort of manager say you can't put so many in there or whatever. But
The hell's going on?
what you do, the directions are actually on the bag that they give you, is you keep it in the bag, and then you put in the oven for like 5 minutes at 350.
Oh, it makes sense.
Did
you do that?
Yeah, I did.
And were they perfect?
They were perfect. They were super yummy, and then I ate them and then went to bed.
Good night.
It was great.
Jorge, how'd you do?
I did bad. I did bad. I tried, just like Travis, I tried having self-control, but I'm like, you know what? This is all I'm going to eat today. Working out was tough.
Oh, did you go work out?
I did work out.
Oh, good for you.
I had to work out.
I didn't.
Yeah, no, I did. But it was tough,
I didn't either.
Yeah,
I had to push, and Brenda's like, are you okay? I was like, I made bad decisions this
You didn't
afternoon.
make bad decisions. You did tour of Italy. You didn't have like.
Which
it's
is a
not
great
like you
decision
ate-
in the moment.
Right.
It's not like you ate a crazy amount. It's not like you cleared
You know
off
what?
your plate.
You know what? I should have had 2 of those donuts, not 3 or 4, whatever I had.
Yeah.
I should have had 2 in my cup of coffee.
Well, and
then I should've
you
finished.
you were a lot of chocolate going on there.
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
you were going on.
He's
the
got a little
chocolate.
flair.
More
You
the
did a little
strawberry.
drizzle.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
I don't know. We did a video, right?
It's up?
It's up.
Yeah.
Cool.
If anybody wants to see it, it's on ESPN Los Angeles. We have a little.
We live streamed for 2 hours.
And I was.
I had a helmet cam.
I love my 0.5 camera angle, and I did a lot of those. So I hope you guys enjoy.
I helped Emily post all this stuff this morning. I went to her and said, do you know how to make sure you get this all on your own feed? And I kind of walked her through all of it.
Exactly.
So you can go to her feed and see it. You go. Clearly, you can go to mine and see it all as well. So we're ready to go.
She asked you to take a photo yesterday. She's like, hey, can you take a photo? I don't know what kind of pressure that you felt.
I did all right.
But then I had to take a photo too. And the whole time I'm like, she's like, hey, and hold it up and, try to get it this way. I'm like, if I just don't drop your phone and I hit the
Do
button
the
I need to
Alfredo
hit,
sauce.
then I think, yeah.
I was trying to direct, and
Oh, you weren't trying.
I was directing.
You were directing.
I had a vision.
I know you did.
I needed the vision to be
I know you
executed
did.
properly.
Don't screw it up, Al. Okay. My hands were like shaking.
So, Emily, don't listen to this. Did you notice that when I said something, I know you remember I'm saying this, but everybody except for one person was like, yeah, that sounds great. I said at some point during the meal, we don't have to wait for the football picks to go out to lunch together. Yeah, and Jorge went like, yeah. And you're like, sounds good. Crickets from the other side of the table.
No.
Am I that bad?
Yeah,
Have
let's
those?
do it, guys. Yeah. I was thinking about other things.
Yeah, right.
Just
Next time.
Crickets. We still have them crickets.
Next time, we're coming over to your house for dinner.
Fabulous. I have plenty of seating. I do, actually. I have a very big house.
And she's got bread. Well, no, the breadsticks are gone.
Yeah, breadsticks are gone.
The breadsticks are gone. All right, so we got a couple more things that we could sprinkle in about our adventure to Olive Garden yesterday. It's official. Jim Harbaugh is the new head coach of the LA Chargers.
Los Angeles Chargers, yep.
And by the way, and I'm not even doing it on purpose, it actually may turn them into the Los Angeles Chargers if this goes the way that the Chargers are hoping. We'll get into that next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN.
A fun way to...
Hey guys, Cap here. I'm out at Yamavant, the 909 with the Bud Light girls, and this upcoming Sunday, it's Championship Sunday. We're going to be here all day. So get on out here. Let's watch the championship games, the AFC game, the NFC game. We're going to find out who's going to the Super Bowl. Me, you, the Bud Light Girls here at Yamabat, the 909.
Big news, Laker fans. John Ireland here. You can now stream every Lakers game on the ESPN LA app. Don't miss a second of the action with Michael Thompson and I on the call. Plus, all your live and local Lakers talk every day in the palm of your hand.
You're one tap away from everything Lakers.
You could even win Lakers tickets.
Download the ESPN LA app and bam!
Download the ESPN LA app at the App Store and Google Play.
One day. I don't
Great
know.
question.
Travis and Sliwa
On 710 ESPN.
You know, Emily's always giving you TV movie recs.
Yeah.
She gave me one, and she's starting to get me, for lack of a better phrase. And she says to me, she goes,
She's got a good pulse for that.
She just said, hey, you should watch Righteous Gemstones. I really think you'd like it. Not like a hard press, just I think you would like this.
Yeah.
She wasn't wrong. Little Righteous Gemstones last night. Susan and I watched the open. It's fantastic.
Yeah?
I love Danny McBride, so we were off to a good start. Is it Adam Levine?
Adam Devine.
Devine. Yeah. He's really funny. The woman, I don't know her name. Forgive me.
Yeah, who plays Judy, though.
Judy
one of the best
is
characters in comedy.
amazing. She's amazing.
Eddie
so.
or something? Edie?
Edie, yeah, I don't know, but she was really her husband or boyfriend or whatever he is. He's tremendous.
He's so good.
He's great.
Would I have any interest in the show?
I would think it might not hit you the way it hits me. Am I
But
wrong?
Try it out.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that it's going to be your cup of
Okay,
tea.
let me give you an example. This or Raptors Hawks?
Raptors Hawks for you.
Yeah, definitely Raptors.
Have you
Hawks.
met Uncle
not-
Baby Billy yet?
It's not a live
No.
game. This is from a week ago. I'm watching the
I still-
Raptors Hawks.
Break the tapes, Lee. See if they're doing a high pick and roll effectively, and then maybe you can stroll on over to
getting more
Danny
Trae Young
McBride.
takes.
Yeah, exactly. You're loading the clip for
You
more
see that?
Trae Young.
I'm going to send you a clip.
Look at this. This
Yeah.
will work for sure.
But that show is
That's
so South Carolina too, because
It's
the
great.
times that I spent
Okay.
there. Yeah, it's great.
You just told me some stuff that, in the break where I have a much better understanding of when you're saying, look, I can't do just one.
Yeah.
Because I actually, that does not register. And until you just explained it the way you did, so I was like, okay, well, let's just say you had one of those donuts. What happens
on,
after that? And you're like, and the way you look at me too was, if anybody out there can't actually hear us, they can only see us. it looks like you're incredibly ticked off. You're not ticked off.
Yeah.
You're just explaining something that's matter of fact. You're like, Al, what would happen? What happened if you had one of those donuts? All those donuts are gone, and that cake, I'm eating the rest of it. I'm like, what? You're not
I'm
even
eating whatever's left on the table.
I'm like, you're not even a sweets guy.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's there.
And then you gave me some other examples that go, okay, then you have something that I don't have. Like liquor, I don't know. I don't know if most people are like this with liquor or beer, whatever the case. If I'm full, there's a very high probability I'm not drinking.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm having a drink. If I'm full, like there's this, I don't know, there's a feeling, I can't. I'm much better drinking when I haven't eaten yet, but I'm also, I kind of have a limit here of what I'm going to do.
I'll explain it like this, and then we'll talk about Jim Harbaugh. There's no dimmer switch. It's on or it's off, right? There's no, you can't dial it back. Make it a little brighter, make it a little dimmer. It's on or it's off. Mm-hmm. Those are the two switches with a lot of things.
That's all you gotta explain.
All right, so right after we left our Olive Garden feast yesterday, Jim Harbaugh was officially announced as the coach of the Los Angeles.
I blocked Emily once I got that text.
It's still 8 years, and I have to stop and make the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yep.
And here's what I think is really interesting. I think we're gonna get a lot of answers to questions that are kind of like more 30,000-foot questions, like what's more important, the coach and the players or ownership? I think we're going to get a pretty good answer to what this is with Jim Harbaugh there. But I want to start right here. Mm-hmm. What if they're really good, and what if they're really good in a relatively short period of time? What if Jim Harbaugh does for the Chargers what Sean McVay did for the Rams, which is basically show up and win? The Rams were 4-12. Sean McVay comes through the door. They went 11-5 and went to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Okay, and they lost in that first playoff game to the Atlanta Falcons, but they probably should have won it. And they were one of the teams in the NFC like that team can go win the whole thing. The next year they got a little further in the play. And then ultimately we know how the Sean McVay story has started to unfold. 2 Super Bowl appearances, Super Bowl championship. What if Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers, because we all thought they were going to the playoffs this year.
Of course we did.
They
were coming off making the playoffs and a complete collapse.
A complete collapse. And it turns out they didn't have the right guy in charge. No one is arguing that Jim Harbaugh is not a good coach. Mm-hmm. Nobody, because you can't argue that. He is. San Diego USD wins. Stanford wins. 49ers wins. Michigan wins. And not like, they're a little better. They win.
Couple plays away from a Super Bowl, win a national championship. Yep.
He went to a BCS game at Stanford, for God's sakes. He goes to a Super Bowl with the 49ers. He goes to the BCS champion, or the college football playoff, the CFP, 3 years in a row and wins a title. He's a good coach. Yep. There's no arguing it. He is. What if he does it with the Chargers? What if he starts to do what the Rams did with McVay and the Chargers do it with Jim Harbaugh? I really do think they start to grow some roots as the L.A. Chargers. Not that team from San Diego that nobody gives a damn about. They have an identity here with that guy on the sidelines.
Well, it's your best chance. Let's put it that way. It's your best chance. And I can't tell you that that's going to happen because I also watch the Los Angeles Rams, who have history in L.A., and they're still fighting and battling with what's that stadium look like? Hey, you have 70% of this fan base coming in or whatever the case is. Sure. They're still fighting that. And this is a team that has roots in Los Angeles. There are Rams fans that are here. You got a pool of 20 million people. It is professional football. The Chargers have a much different hill to climb. But you can't take any step forward better than what they just did. So to answer your question, how much of it is it going to change? Well, when the Raiders are playing the Chargers at SoFi, do you think it's going to change that much? Probably not.
Not next year, but what if the Chargers kick their ass?
Okay, that's fine. Let them kick their ass. Let them all of a sudden start winning some games in the AFC. I'm just going to keep using the Rams as an example. I've seen that with the Los Angeles Rams, and you know what I keep hearing is, guys, it's going to take a long time for the Rams to really, really take over. Now, listen, they've moved a lot faster than I think anybody thought.
You know what? I just want to throw this in there real quick. They've moved as fast as you could possibly hope for.
They moved as fast as you could possibly move.
They couldn't have done more in the 8 years that they've been here. You couldn't do better.
But I'll just add this on the Charger front. What else are you supposed to do? This is the biggest move that clearly the organization has made since they moved to Los Angeles. I think it's obviously going to be a hot topic, a hot story. It is. Of course it is.
They got the right guy.
But the question's going to be, all right, is this more just another NFL team that's in Los Angeles that you're going to have a little bit of interest in, or is it going to actually sweep the city of L.A.? I think that's going to take time for that to happen.
If Jim Harbaugh can do what he's done at every other place with the Chargers, he could go down as maybe one of the, if not the best, one of the best coaches in NFL history. So I could talk more about that on the other side and prove my point.
He's got to punch his ticket, but I think you're on to something. And even if it's not that, it can take it from where it's been, where they're interlopers.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be
where
that at all.
they're nomads that are in a place that very, very few people care deeply about, to a team that can be a viable option to watch an NFL team in LA, and it can happen really quick.
Let's say this. When you start seeing highlights of the Chargers, there's an image of somebody that everybody knows around the sport of football that now has become the face of the Chargers. It's not a coach that everybody looks at and say, why the hell is he there? It's not an ownership that everybody says, why.
All right, we're going to get into that. Plus, this is all good news for the Chargers, but one guy has got an immense amount of pressure on him starting today. That's coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN. Pressure would go down if you had a Silverado from Rotolo Chevrolet, because then you could just get in and relax. It's so comfortable. That's incredible. So you just kick back, Slee. That's exactly right. And if you're thinking about that Silverado and you've been driving on all the freeways, you're like, man, look at that. So there's another Silverado. Get yourself to Rotolo Chevrolet in Fontana. That's where I got mine. So I've gotten a couple of different cars from Rotolo Chevrolet. Right off the 210 freeway, Sierra Avenue exit. And the reason I'm so excited about it, the reason I've sent my closest friends out there, what up, Ryan O'Coin? He bought a car from Rotolo Chevrolet. Is because I know that they're going to take care of you. I know that they're going to make sure that you have the experience of a lifetime, that you get the right vehicle at the right price and you feel great about it. That's how they've won Dealer of the Year 13 years in a row. That's how they continue to just absolutely blow people away with customer service, because that's their mission. Mike Capozio makes sure that every person that comes to Rotolo Chevrolet feels great about it, leaves with the car, truck that they're looking for at the right price and an unbelievable experience. So go find out for yourself what all the fun's about at Rotolo Chevrolet, 210 freeway, Sierra Avenue exit in Fontana. If you can't get into the store, go online, rotolochevy.com. That's ROTOLO, rotolochevy.com.
All right, guys, it's officially back. Fifth Row Fridays presented by BBGO.
That's the official game day snack of the Lakers, by the way. And this is the best thing we give away. Fifth row seats to a Laker game. How many times do people come up to us and say, hey, give me Laker tickets?
Yes.
We don't have them. I don't even have them, but you can win them if you listen every day.
And these seats are better than the seats that you and Michael have, right?
15 rows better.
Yeah.
Michael and I are like row 20. So here's how you win. You listen every day to all the shows and take notes. If you can answer 5 questions about what happened on the show that day, you're eligible to win.
And don't forget, on Fridays, your chance to call in all 5 right answers, and you are in the fifth row at Crypto.com Arena for a Lakers game.
For free!
This is the Mid-Morning Spectacular live from LA Live. Travis and Sliwa on 710 ESPN.
All right, we're going to get to M's take on Harbaugh here in 1 second. But, Slee, how about this, man? This just is this is from Twitter account Front Office Sports on X, I guess is what we're calling it. After making large cuts to its staff, the LA Times will not have a traveling beat writer with the Dodgers in Shohei Ohtani's first year with the team. That is unspeakably stupid. How do you have the greatest baseball player in a generation, if not ever, come to the most popular baseball team in your city that's got a chance to do all sorts of crazy, historic, championship-winning teams, and you're not going to have somebody with that team every single day? How is that even a thought? Like, the two teams you cannot blank around with in this city when it comes to being embedded with them and making sure that you have contacts in the coaching staff, the front office, media relations, publicity, the players, the training staff, are the Dodgers and the Lakers. You've got to own those things. You've got to get that right. Nobody's going to cover the team when they go on the road on a regular basis. That's insanity to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to. There are certain decisions. Obviously, the LA Times over the last couple of days or so have got rid of a lot of really, really important people to the city of Los Angeles. And these are news reporters. These are sports reporters. And, unfortunately, I think it's going to put the LA Times at such a disadvantage. There are a couple franchises that just rule the city of Los Angeles. It's the Dodgers and the Lakers, and that's it. And let's pretend that Shohei Ohtani didn't come to the Dodgers. Let's pretend that Yamamoto didn't come to the Dodgers. Let's just pretend the Dodgers were a 90-win team. just
a normal
season.
team. Yeah.
Just an awful season. They just make the playoffs, and
Sure.
then that's it.
Sure.
There is no justification for not having somebody covering the Dodgers. But when I say it's just a stupid decision, what I mean by that is it's just a bad business decision to not have somebody covering the Los Angeles Dodgers when they're out on the road. Then you could add the layers of there's never been more interest in the Dodgers with Ohtani, with Yamamoto, with the situation that they're in, basically going all in. And I know they've been going all in. There's layers to it. I can't explain it to you. I know you and I are not sitting at the LA Times, but however those decisions are made, that's an idiotic decision, period. And this is, I'm going to go back to saying something. There are a lot of really, really good people that lost their jobs, unfortunately, at the LA Times. And everybody, unfortunately, in our business, and listen, it's happened in our industry that we're in, our company that we work for. There's cuts that happens, and it does hit people. This decision is just a bad decision for those who would like to follow the Los Angeles Dodgers and want to use the LA Times to do it.
I get it that they're running a business. I get it that they got to make hard decisions. But I want to know what happens when they go to play, I don't know, the Chicago Cubs, and Shohei Ohtani hits 3 home runs and Yamamoto strikes out 14 guys. We're going to get an AP story? Yep. Or you're gonna be driven to other places that do have people that are covering these things like The Athletic and ESPN or wherever you need. I mean, what happened to owning your local team? What happened to knowing your local team inside and out? Mm-hmm. That's just incredibly
the relationships, the opportunity to have a mic in front of some of these players right after a game. Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, go down the list.
Crazy.
They'll have someone covering like every 5th game or whatever these big benchmark games are, which is like, yes, keep that, but you need something to monitor every day because that's how the baseball season evolves.
That's it. That is what baseball is, right? That is what that weird thing that happens on a Wednesday night that you note that happens, 2 Wednesdays later in another random, you're in Milwaukee that night. It's like, oh, it happened again. That's what you can see. Unreal. And the Ohtani of it all is just,
that's why I didn't even want to mention the Ohtani thing because that just takes it to a level, even if none of that happened.
On his first year
right.
as a Dodger, like, come on, man.
Yeah.
But there are also ways in which you can follow and support these beat writers that you might have been following for a long time. They have Substacks, they have their own websites, and they might not be able to, travel with the team as they used to be, but one way to support them is to follow them after what happens. And so, but it's unfortunate.
Emily, do you really think that Jim Harbaugh, if he wins in L.A. with the Chargers, he's on the short list of greatest of all time? Do you really believe that?
So I think if he can, in these 5 years with the Chargers, if he can knock one out, he can get one Super Bowl and be on the door every other year. We've never seen
What's on the door? In the playoffs?
In the playoffs, in past one round of playoffs. So I'd say you have to win one playoff game every year. And if you win one Super Bowl, he has one of the highest win percentage of any coach ever.
He's the highest.
Yes. No, I thought John Madden still had that.
I think that when Madden, I'm pretty sure I read yesterday. I could be, maybe I'm misread it, but I thought he was, now that he's back. Oh,
right.
You know what it is? It's active. You're right. You're right.
So either way, even if it's active, he has had less years of coaching as a lot of other people have, but we've never seen him be a bad coach. Every other, or have a team that's bad. Anywhere.
Yeah, different levels.
And so if you consider all the other greatest coaches of all time, you've seen them coach bad teams. You've seen them have bad experiences. I'm not saying that he's going to be #1 overall greatest coach of all time. It's really hard to say that when you have Bill Belichick, who was great for 20 years one team, Andy Reid. But he could be in that top 5.
He could be the best in the league. He could be the best guy going.
How about this? I mean, that's look where he's going. I think that has a lot to do with it as well. The expectations. You're coming to the Chargers. You're taking over a coach that everybody thought was, how the hell is this guy an NFL head coach?
Why do you say that?
Yeah, I know. That's a shocker, right?
Name one thing he got wrong, Slee.
Think about who he's taking over for. The franchise that he's taken over for. He's not walking into the Patriots job. He's not walking in to go take over the Pittsburgh Steelers he's taken over a franchise that everybody looks at. This is why I always thought the Raiders thing would be interesting. Again, the expectations aren't there. They haven't been good. They haven't been a long time. Chargers have never won a Super Bowl. They've been to the Super Bowl. They've never won a Super Bowl. So I think I get the conversation. I think it's so premature and it's unnecessary. You got one of the best coaches in the NFL that just landed on a team and an organization that has not looked like it's had its you-know-what in order for how long. Whatever he does, if they're in the playoffs next year, they're going to be a dangerous team. Why? Because Harbaugh's there.
Here's why I like it. Look, I'm a Rams guy. I'm a Rams fan. I was a Rams fan as a kid. I was a Rams fan the second they walked back. Obviously, I work with the Rams as well, doing the pre-half and post, and I get it. And I've watched every Rams game since they've come back to Los Angeles and have enjoyed all of the games that involved Sean McVay. That first year, we can kind of throw that one away. But it would be great to have because the Chargers, which are the Angels of this equation, and the Rams, they're not competing for the same. They're not in the same division. They're not in the same conference. And short of them meeting each other in a game that determines, you got to win this to go to the playoffs, what the Chargers do is irrelevant to what the Rams do. What the Rams do is irrelevant to what the Chargers do. And having a second team in town to say, hey, Justin Herbert and the Chargers are on tonight. I can't wait to go see that. That's fun.
Especially the product is good.
That's fun. If it's good and it's the local team, let's go. And because the Clippers and the Lakers are not the comparison. They're competing for the same thing. They're competing for playoff position. They're competing for all of these sorts of things that go along when you are, when you're saying it's like the Dodgers and the Giants. They're competing for the same thing. Chargers and the Rams aren't.
Well, I think in the NFL, too, it is different for LA. Because I think in the NFL, part of the difference is you have also a lot of Raider fans that are here.
Yep.
You have also other fan bases that are here.
Niners.
We see it, right? We literally
Cowboys,
see it. You go to any one of
Bills,
these games, whether
Eagles.
it's the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Broncos,
Chiefs.
they're here. They're around. Or maybe, I don't know if they're all just traveling in and traveling out. I'm not 100% sure, but there's also a lot of them that are probably in Los Angeles. You're also not competing head-to-head with the Rams because there's other fan bases. It's not like in L.A. you go to a Clippers game and it's like, oh, my gosh, the Jazz took over the arena again. That doesn't happen, but it happens in the NFL.
It happens because the Lakers have been here for a really long time and have been good for almost all of it. Same thing with the Dodgers. When you're here 60-plus years, and of the 60, you've been good 50 of them,
There's
you're going to have some fans.
History and everything else.
Right, and you've had iconic players, but you can only start by winning. It's what the Rams have done. They showed up and they won. They showed up, had star players. They showed up with Aaron Donald. They show up with Matthew Stafford. They show up with Cooper Kupp. They show up with Sean McVay. They build a palace of a stadium. It's like they're doing the best they can, and it's still a process. The Chargers haven't even started yet.
Who is the face of the franchise for the Lakers?
Right now?
Yeah.
LeBron.
Who's the face of the franchise to the Dodgers? Let's just pretend Shohei wasn't here. Who was it?
Mookie and Freddie.
Okay,
Clayton
go down
Kershaw.
the list. Clayton Kershaw, right? You kind of do this. Who is the face when you look at who's the most popular? And I don't think this is just my own. The most popular face of the Los Angeles Rams. Who do you think it is
Right now?
Yeah,
Puka.
Or McVay.
I was going to say McVay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say Puka.
Yeah.
But I was going to say Sean McVay. My point is that each one of these franchises have a face.
Yep.
Harbaugh is now the face of the Los Angeles Chargers. I get Herbert's there. I understand
I'm
all
with
that.
you. I'm with you.
But
because Herbert's not. He's just not.
He is literally Harbaugh's now gave them an identity that they haven't had.
And it's winning. And he's won
Yep.
everywhere he's gone. He has a .695 winning percentage. He's won.
100%. And Herbert is the guy where all the pressure lands because everybody has given him, hey, Herbert's great. Staley sucked. Hey, Herbert's great. The Spanoses are dummies. Hey, Herbert's great. Anthony Lynn wasn't the right guy. Okay. Well, now we got the right guy. Now it's on you. If it doesn't work and you are still just that guy that we're saying, why hasn't it happened? That's on him. That is pressure that he hasn't had before. We'll talk about that coming up maybe at 11 o'clock. Hey, did you see? Coming up next, 710 ESPN. Slee, how about this? Prize Picks, right? Prize Picks is what you play, what I play, what hundreds of thousands of people have signed up for. PrizePicks.com/710 to get that first deposit match of up to $100. They're basically giving you a freebie at Prize Picks right now. Do you think Christian McCaffrey, when it comes to rushing yards, will get more or less than a half a yard? I like his chances to get more.
Go ahead more on that one.
I think more, right? You got a couple of days to get in on that. They're giving you a freebie at Prize Picks, Lee.
All right, we could also do the NBA game. So right now, Anthony Davis, more than or less than 24.5 points. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go more than in that one. They got the Chicago Bulls tonight. You can pick, and this is the best thing. It doesn't have to just be NBA games. You got all the NFL games coming up this weekend, like Trav just mentioned. Over 7 million sports fans have already signed up, and I'm one of them. So join me, join Trav, watch your favorite players, and get paid doing it. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use that code 710. That's code 710 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. That's Prize Picks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
You never have to.
Hey, John Ireland here, and I'm at my local Ralph's in front of the BBGO display, and here's why. The Lakers and Ralph's are doing a sweepstakes, and you could win courtside seats to a Laker game. The question I get more than anything else is, how do I get in those courtside seats? This is how. You come to a local Ralph's, you spend at least $10 on BBGO. Then you take your receipt and you send it to this web address, Lakers.com/BBGO sweeps. That's Lakers.com/BBGO sweeps. It's the contest runs from now through February 6th. So all you gotta do is go to Ralph's, get some BBGO, and send in that receipt. Well, as long as I'm here. You can never have enough BBGO.
BBGO, the official game day snack of the Los Angeles Lakers.
Big news, Laker fans. John Ireland here. You can now stream every Lakers game on the ESPN LA app. Don't miss a second of the action with Michael Thompson and I on the call. Plus, all your live and local Lakers talk every day in the palm of your hand.
You're one tap away from everything Lakers.
You could even win Lakers tickets.
Download the ESPN LA app and bam!
Download the ESPN LA app at the App Store and Google Play.
Travis and Sliwa, and it's time for the segment we do around this time, 10:40 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Hey, did you see that sky today?
Did you guys see that?
Basically, the days we don't do Ask Slee, we do this thing. It's called Hey, Did You See?
Did you see that? I saw it. I did it.
Did you see the memo about this?
I mean, I'm excited. You can tell by my read. Hey, did you see? Did you happen to see? It's time for Hey, Did You See?
Hey, man, did you touch my drum set?
Have you read this?
Right now on Travis and Sliwa.
Al, did you see where Jorge drizzled that chocolate sauce on all 5 of the donuts that he murdered yesterday?
He's a professional.
And he just went back into the box this morning for another one.
Oh, Chiva, man, come on. We're not supposed to say that. Come on, man. I thought we were friends.
What's up, Foo?
All right, Foo. So we're a food show, obviously.
Obviously.
About our adventure at Olive Garden yesterday. But there is something that I'm kind of bummed out on. You guys should be bummed out about this, too. Applebee's had a date night pass. For $200, you get a credit of $30, and you can have dinner once a week at any Applebee's for a whole year.
Wow.
It sold out in about a minute.
Okay.
Now, if you have this kind of pass, realistically, how many times would you use it? And how many times would you use it? And
This is Applebee's, you said?
Applebee's sold it out. Yeah.
I'd use it. I mean, I don't know if I'd go every week.
That's what I'm saying. That's my point.
If 52 weeks in a year, I'd use it at least half the time. I bet I'd go 25 times. And I mean, Applebee's is fine. It's not a place that I'm seeking out on a regular basis. But
there's variety.
If I get free food once a week, that's a lot of that's a huge value
for the whole year. It's $1,500.
Okay, this is the one thing that Applebee's has
Riblets.
going for it is you don't have to get the same food every time, right? So at least you have a menu where, all right, I'm going to get a burger today. I'm going to get some kind of chicken sandwich. I'm going to get
salad,
seafood, salad, whatever it is, right? Like you can kind of pick.
Riblets.
But still going back to the same spot that often, I don't think I'm going as much as he is. I'm probably going once or twice a month at the most. And probably I don't see myself
still
going
coming
more
out
than that.
way ahead though, right? Especially like $30.
So I think the value of this thing was $1,200, $1,300, something like that, $1,500, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So and this was.
Did you know they have riblets?
I did not know they had riblets actually.
They're little pieces of rib. They're delicious.
Can I tell you something kind of genius about this whole thing? So I heard about this too. There's a couple of days now this has happened. They only gave it to a very select few, right? Like it was just they opened it up and it sold out like that. Yeah,
sold out quick. Yeah.
He's been getting marketed like crazy.
Well, think about it too.
Good little marketing
for sure. And like a gym membership or anything else, you forget you have it. You do like once you kind of are out of the mix, you might stay out of the mix, and that's free. I'd be very surprised if they lost money on this venture. You know what I mean? It's just one of those to lose. Somebody's got to go a lot. And I don't know if a lot of people are going a lot, even with riblets.
Also, it's one of those places that's accessible basically anywhere.
Yeah.
The reason I asked this is because I have friends who like get the Magic Mountain Pass or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, we paid for the whole year, the Universal Studios Pass."
Yep.
And then at the end of the day, it's like you only go once or twice. You know, so it's like maybe because there's more of these places, people tend to go more often.
Sure, there's one
than Universal Studios or something like that. So like I don't know.
Kind of extended, like it's a second house. It's a country club membership. It's the Icon Pass to go skiing on all these mountains. It's like, okay, how many times are you going to drive to Mammoth in a year? It's 6 hours away, right? And the answer is not that many.
Another thing is season tickets. Like how often are you going to go to one of those games? You end up selling those tickets, right?
Yeah. Like a quarter package is 20 games. I can get to 20 games.
Yeah.
80? Get out of here. That's insane.
Yeah, that's not happening. That's not happening.
Yeah.
I would use this. I love Applebee's. I think.
Would you go once a week?
I would go once a week.
Okay.
I go to the movies once a week. I can go to Applebee's once a week and just.
Are
honestly,
you as passionate about riblets as you are about cinema?
I am because I have $30 credit. And my question is, would I have to be dining in or get it to go? Because I think it would be great to use as a to-go.
Yeah, that'd
instead of
that'd
having
be
to
much
That's a
sit
great
down
question.
in
I'm with you.
I
on
bet you it's dine-in only.
Yeah, but
those usually have some stipulations that make it less likely.
I
that
would
you
make
use.
it dine-in if I own that. If I'm running this promotion,
You get the
gotta come
alcohol,
in
you
here.
get the soda, you get the
Right,
other things.
right.
But the alcohol is not it's not
But
included. in
to
your
M's
30
point, you sit down. I'll take a plate of riblets, and since I'm here anyway, bring me
I'll take a beer.
$7 Ritas.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
You and these riblets. I'm craving these riblets now, man.
It's
craving
little
these
bites of
Dollar
rib. Who doesn't like that?
Those are good. Yeah,
Come on, man.
That's Travis Rogers for riblets.
Yeah, I am a riblet fan.
Connoisseur.
Have you ever had when you go to like a barbecue place and they have burnt ends?
Mm-hmm.
Have you had that?
Amazing.
Unreal.
They're amazing.
Burnt end sandwich. You ever had the pleasure of that?
Burnt end sandwich.
Yes.
No, I don't think I've had the sandwich.
So they take all the burnt ends, throw them in a sauce,
I'm all good.
on a bun.
Sounds good.
Let's go.
I'm the last person to complain about that.
Justin Herbert has the right coach at the right time. Now it's up to him, which brings a whole lot of pressure. That's coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN.
All right, introducing Pizza Hut's new $7 Deal Lovers menu. Tons of your favorite pizza faves starting at just $7 each. The $7 Deal Lovers menu only from Pizza Hut. We talk about Pizza Hut a lot. They've been very, very nice to come in and bring us some of their different, not just the pizzas, but the desserts, the wings. We've had it all here. Take advantage of this. Order now. Earn your rewards for your next free pizza on the Pizza Hut app or at pizzahut.com. Product availability, prices, and participation vary.
Steve Mason and John. And Sliwa
on 710 ESPN.
So I was thinking of an exercise, a thought exercise that might be interesting for all of us to do is kind of paint the picture. This time in a month, the Super Bowl champion will be crowned.
Get your arms down, Jorge.
The 49ers, baby.
Paint what our conversations will be about that team when it happens, okay? So we'll go through each of the 4 teams that are still left. So let's start with the 49ers first. So 49ers win the Super Bowl in early February. What are we talking about?
The best team won. You're talking about the coach that had one hole in his resume no longer has a hole in his resume. Kyle Shanahan is on equal footing with Sean McVay as kind of the most dynamic, young, attractive coach on the market, the guy that could be there for a very long time. But it's not a surprise that a crown jewel franchise won its 6th Super Bowl is not a surprise. They've been close. It would be incredible for Purdy. He becomes kind of that question about Kirk Cousins that we've talked about. That's kind of dead in the water at that point. For them, they have the least to gain as a franchise because they're the 49ers, right? They're in this thing over and over and over again.
But they become one of the few crown jewel franchises that have 6 Super Bowls. There were only 2 other teams.
Yeah.
Cash it in, right? You can't be any more all in. They've been knocking on the door here for a couple of years, and no shock. Like I think of all the teams that are out there, the 49ers winning it is not the least exciting, but I'm saying that there is just no. Yeah, that's what they were supposed to do. I'm assuming
wouldn't the Chiefs
Debo
be
came back.
in that same boat? Just because they're there every year?
Okay, so if you want to switch now and go to the Chiefs here, I'll tell you this. I think for me.
No, I'm just saying that when it comes to the Niners and the Chiefs are like the chalk. Even though that the Chiefs aren't the number one team, they just feel like the Niners feel, yeah, if they win it, it's like, yeah, that makes perfect sense to me.
Niners, I thought scripted, supposed to happen. They got everything that you absolutely have. I think the Chiefs, there's this little bit of like this next level of like, okay, I know they have the baddest man on the planet. I understand that, but there's always that, okay, but does he have the same type of weapons that he had in the past? Look at Mahomes, he's doing it again. It's a different type of story, but I think for the 49ers, I think it's the least surprise to me. Of all the 4 teams remaining, it's the least surprise.
I think, too, the story of Brock Purdy going from Mr. Irrelevant to Super Bowl champion, I think would be something to be said. And we're going to have to face that thing of they cash it in with him. So we can't be going off about how Purdy, isn't this great quarterback. They won a Super Bowl.
No, you won
him.
a Super Bowl.
He's not going to be Trent Dilfer. He's not that level of quarterback. But like, you're gonna have to have him that conversation that he took that team to the Super Bowl.
Also, as a fan,
I strongly disagree with that. Here's why: he's Trent Dilfer. He's there, and there's nothing wrong with being Trent Dilfer. But if the 49ers win the Super Bowl, Brock Purdy's not going to get the credit. Kyle Shanahan's going to get the credit. Christian McCaffrey's going to get the credit. Deebo Samuel's going to get the credit. George Kittle's going to get the credit. Fred Warner's going to get the credit. Bosa's going to get the credit. Unless Purdy goes out there and throws for 500 yards and leads a last-second drive, then it will be a little different. But you've given this guy a royal flush to play at the quarterback or at the poker table. If he doesn't win
Don't screw it up.
Yeah. He's not creative. Patrick Mahomes, and we'll get to the Chiefs later, but you basically got a coach and Travis Kelce. Go make it happen, right? We'll get to these other teams, but you are giving this guy everything you could ever possibly desire.
Cash it in.
Cashing that in doesn't make him one of those guys.
But see, as a fan, I would feel a sigh of relief because we've been knocking on that door. It couldn't happen with Jimmy G because, again, he went up against Mahomes. If we go against Mahomes again, it's going to be tough for this kid to get it done.
Of course it is.
But, I see the, silver lining in this second year in. He's getting you to a Super Bowl, 2 NFC championships. Come on, man. One of them, he got injured. Let's see what he can do in this one.
Let's. This is the only hesitation I have. And it's okay. It comes with the territory. Saying that nobody's going to say Purdy got them there. It just comes with the territory. When your team is that stacked, and it's okay that, I think people that get upset that Purdy's not getting enough credit or you're on a squad.
Yeah.
And you did come out of nowhere, and people are giving you credit for the Niners having enough confidence to say, okay, here's the keys. Don't screw it up. I mean, that's kind of what they're saying to Brock Purdy. They're not telling him when Mahomes gets the keys, or that's a bad example. If Lamar Jackson gets the keys, it's like, look, this is on you.
Yeah.
We go as far as you go. If Josh Allen gets the keys, we go as far as you go.
That's a great example.
I don't know if they're saying that to Brock Purdy. They're saying, listen, everything's already set. All you got to do is just drive the car to the destination. Do not go off of the path.
If Deebo doesn't play on Sunday and Purdy's great, okay, cool. If Christian McCaffrey gets hurt in the second quarter and all of a sudden he's not there and you still, okay, now we're talking about something. But if you just give these guys all pro, Trent Williams,
it's natural to say, let's pump the brakes.
It's not
here
disrespectful, but I'm not going to give you more credit. The fact that he's on the MVP list is just laughably stupid, right? No. Christian McCaffrey, sure. Right? Lamar Jackson, of course.
Can you answer that question? Because I think for somebody that has not watched that many Niner games, I'm with you. Like, when I see that, it almost takes away the most valuable player. It takes away some of the strength in that. Has Purdy been, if I'm not watching every game other than basically they're playing the Rams, has Purdy been special this year? Like, do Niner fans look at Purdy and say, this dude he's one of those guys?
Look, he's been special because of the weapons he's got. Those talks came because Mahomes was struggling. All these other guys that were, our MVP level, we're struggling. Look at Hurts. Jalen Hurts, he didn't do anything with the Eagles, and he was up in those conversations as well. So I think those conversations came when those guys started to dip, and he was kind of on the rise. That's where those conversations happen, and that's why it's laughable, because then you see Mahomes back in the NFC Championship again. It's like, why were you being compared to this guy when Mahomes has been here and he's been doing it, for the past, 6 seasons?
Yeah,
and no one should compare to Mahomes.
And every time they fall behind, they lose. Right, that this Green Bay game was the first time that, and again, the last drive he was really good, but part of the reason they were behind is because he was really bad. And again, he
6 drives,
right, and that's what it is. So until you tie one of his hands behind his back, no McCaffrey, no Debo, or both, or no Kittle, or all of a sudden Trent Williams isn't there, and now he's got to worry about an offensive line that's not as.
Where you say, hey, they won that game because of
he was
that
great.
Dude.
He was great. He never should have been on.
And
there.
by the way, just so you know, what we're bringing up is that the MVP finalists have been and all the award finalists have been announced. And so here are the MVP finalists for this NFL season: Josh Allen, okay; Lamar Jackson, yes, should win, will win, likely.
Right.
Christian McCaffrey. Sure, yeah, put him on there.
Yep.
Dak Prescott.
Stop.
And Brock Purdy.
Stop.
Dak Prescott put up so much empty stats this season. It's insane.
Well, wait. It's just regular season, right? Yeah. All this is regular season?
Yeah, it's all voted for.
Then it doesn't surprise
season.
me that Dak's on there. That's not like a crazy. I mean, they had a really, really good regular season.
They did, but again.
Should he win it? Of course not.
Yeah,
but
okay.
It's not crazy
Fair
that he's
enough.
on the list.
But my point is, the most valuable player in the league isn't even on the list. Lamar Jackson wins it. Nobody's going to be jumping up. Lamar Jackson deserves to win it. Again, Lamar was really, really good. Patrick Mahomes is the most valuable. If the Chiefs didn't have Patrick Mahomes,
they'd be 4-.
They stink.
Mm-hmm.
They're I don't know. I wouldn't. I don't. Maybe I want to take that back. Andy Reid would find a way to win, but they wouldn't be doing this. This is Jordan. This is
God bless Andy Reid. They're
not
5 games worse, 4 games worse than what they are.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. But it's LeBron. It's Jordan. It's like, well, we've already given it to him. So can we just give it to somebody else? We all know it's you, MJ. But Karl Malone, here, take one. Karl Malone was more valuable than Michael Jordan. Get the hell out of here.
Hey, Shaq, we know you can go on any team in your prime and make them a championship contender, but we're not going to give it to you.
And it's also the same thing that we could say about Brock Purdy, we can say about Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott has incredible weapons in front of him, and we saw who was the guy that filled in for him last year for a bit.
Ben DiNucci.
Ben DiNucci. And whoever.
I believe he was our waiter at Olive Garden yesterday.
But, they stayed afloat without Dak there because the weapons on the Dallas Cowboys are so incredibly insane. And that's why,
I think it actually was Cooper Rush. Ben DiNucci is the more goofy name. But DiNucci filled in and was serviceable as well. But, You get as much credit as you deserve based on what you have around you. This is, I know we're kind of bouncing all over the place here, but give me the coaches again, because this is another list that has some names on it that some of them are sure, but there's a glaring mistake on this list.
All right, so Coach of the Year candidates or finalists are Dan Campbell,
sure,
yes. John Harbaugh,
sure,
DeMeco Ryans,
sure,
Kyle Shanahan, and Kevin Stefanski, and no Sean McVay.
The only one I would take off is Kyle Shanahan. Again, not that he's not a great coach, but
they're
gave
expected
him
to do it. Why is McVay not on there?
He should be.
No, what would be the justification to not have McVay?
Because he's won it before. Because the Rams
doesn't have to win it, but he's got to be a finalist.
I couldn't agree with you more. This was a team that was supposed to win 5 games. They won 10.
I was going to say, if you win twice the amount of games Vegas thought you'd win, and use Shanahan as an example. Did anything happen with the Niners that was a surprise this year? Nothing was a surprise.
No.
This is what they were supposed to do. And I'm not trying to take away. Sometimes it's just as difficult to live up to those expectations.
Sure it is.
I get that. The dude won 10 games this year.
They won 10 games. Dan Campbell has got Jared Goff a game away from the Super Bowl. They won their division for the first time in a billion years. DeMeco Ryans, rookie head coach, rookie quarterback. Come on. Kevin Stefanski had to have 4 different starting quarterbacks, and they made the playoffs. I mean, these are the obstacles that coaching, saying give it to Christian McCaffrey, throw it to Deebo Samuel. I'm not saying there isn't pressure, but sure. I mean, yeah, that makes sense to me. Have Joey Bosa.
That's really weird.
Which Bosa do the Niners? Nick. They have Nick.
Yeah, they have
Nick Bosa. Go sack the quarterback. Okay, Fred Warner. Make a bunch of great plays. Okay.
What's Bosa's celebration? Doesn't he do like the whatever he does? Bosa's got
he goes like this.
Whatever he does, he's
the
got
W's
such
or
a
something, yeah.
pimp.
The Boses are colorful.
Man.
Yeah, the Boses are the Boses.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sean McVay, and you can't. So there are two other Rams that are on the finalists for this list, and it's Puka Nacua and it's Kobe Turner on finalists for Offensive and Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Puka's got no chance.
Yeah, yes, but that is a result of their coach.
Yes.
To put those two rookies, have them have the season they've had, is because their coach is brilliant.
Puka Nacua set 3 NFL records this year. Most receiving yardage by a rookie, most catches by a rookie, most yards in a playoff game by a rookie. And he's got no shot because C.J. Stroud is just like, good job, buddy.
If you're going to lose it in a year, lose it to C.J. Stroud in the year that he
was
had.
amazing. Now, Kobe Turner, they should submit his national anthem performance as kind of like, hey, before you vote,
that should help.
Just listen to this. This man's got a little soul.
Extra
Kobe
credit here.
Kobe Turner was peaking at the right time, which is the end of the season. Will Anderson did have some great moments in their playoff game when they won, but I think that it's between Kobe Turner and Will Anderson, really.
All right, we'll do some of these other teams and what it means for them coming up in just a little bit. But real quick on Justin Herbert, Slee. Does not all the pressure go directly to him? Because no one's going to look at the Chargers and say, you don't have enough good players. I know they got some cap issues that they got to figure out, but that's manageable in the NFL. You need the right coach. They got him.
Yep.
You need weapons. They have some. Justin Herbert no longer has that soft landing spot of Brandon Staley sucks. The Spanoses suck. The Chargers don't know what they're doing. They got the right guy. Now, if it doesn't happen, it's his fault. And by the way, he got all his money, too.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. Even though I think we've watched Herbert and he's brought up more questions about his game, like, hey, is that dude, is he real deal, is he not? I don't really have that much doubt that under Harbaugh and really just a complete change of the culture, how that NFL team is going to be coached, do you have a lot of doubt that Herbert's not going to live up to some of those expectations? Can it happen? Of course it can. Is there going to be pressure? Absolutely. Are there going to be times where they lose a game, and if it's on Herbert, there's going to be some direction pointed towards him? I think the man's going to come through. I think it's so important to have the right environment, the right coach, and everything else.
He may
But is
come
the pressure
through.
going to be completely different? Of course it is.
If it doesn't, it's not going to be Brandon Staley should stop going.
No,
to
there's
the
no
fourth
more
down.
excuses.
There's no more excuses. And that Subway commercial and SoFi, and I think he's got a couple other ones as well. It's like, yeah, that's cool. Why is the guy whose team goes 6-11 every year on commercials? We're getting closer to that. I get he's a quarterback. He's in L.A. Do you even know what his voice sounds like?
A little bit.
I do.
I don't. Have you seen him interviewed recently?
No, I saw him on the Subway ads.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, he's kind of for the fact that he's in LA and on a team that had expectations that he's as unknown as he is.
I think that's more a Charger than
it might be.
I really do. I think that's more of a Charger than.
Or his personality.
I think it's
not
that.
a guy that's going to put himself in the spotlight, which is like.
But
Joe
he got some spotlight opportunities.
Yes, but Joe Flacco is probably a similar thing to Justin Herbert. Joe Flacco is not putting himself in front of the podium and saying all these crazy things. He does what he has to do, and then he goes on. I think that they could be similar, but Joe Flacco's in Cleveland and in Baltimore and not in Los Angeles.
He's got to do a lot, and if it doesn't work, it's his fault, even if it's not his fault. That's the life of a top-paid quarterback, especially if you got the right coach on the side. I'm excited to see it because I think he's pretty good, and I think he's going to come through.
Yeah, I think he will too.
But if he pressure bust pipes, right? That and he hasn't had it since now. That there was always that Staley sucks.
Yep.
Yeah, and he did. So now it's that ain't happening anymore.
There's also somebody that I think could take his game to another level.
We'll see. We're going to find out. We're going to find out. Lakers got one more game before they go on the road, Slee. And can we just make some trades? Can we just get this done? And I'm tired of the waiting. Let's get it done. That's next. It's Travis Slee, 710 ESPN. Hey, is your vehicle due for service? Is it time to have somebody take a look at all of it with the general maintenance? If it is, head into your neighborhood Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Of course, that's home of the 15-minute drive-through oil change because For over 30 years, Valvoline has provided quick and convenient automotive maintenance services for busy people just like you and me. You don't have to get out of your car. You don't have to take the kids out of the car. You don't have to go into that weird, creepy waiting room with the bad coffee. At Valvoline, you stay in your car safe and relaxed while the expert technicians make sure that your ride is at its absolute best. You're in and out in 15 minutes. You have time. I have time. Make the time. Go get it done. Oil changes, tire rotations, transmission care, and more. Just pull up, drive in, and drive out in about 15 minutes. Over 80 locations throughout Southern California ready to help you get your ride ready for the road in no time. So visit SoCalOilChange.com to get your locations and game-winning coupons off of your next Valvoline Instant Oil Change.
Sedano and
Al and I were just talking about that. We were just discussing the meal during the break. And we both landed on how awesome it was.
You ever heard of Cinque Terre?
No. What's that?
Cinque Terre is in Italy.
Okay.
And it's basically these 5 towns, kind of like the coastline, Italian Riviera coastline. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And
you had me at Riviera.
We randomly ended up there. We were going to go to the Leaning Tower of Pisa. This is me and my buddy. We're backpacking through Europe back when I'm 21, 22 years old.
Okay.
And we were going to go to the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and somebody tells us we're on one of those trains, the Euro Rail, so it's taking us everywhere. And somebody's like, yeah, don't go there. We're like, why wouldn't we go there? He's like, literally it's a tower that's leaning a little bit.
Okay.
Go to Cinque Terre. So we ended up going to Cinque Terre instead.
Okay.
The cuisine we had last night, same thing. Cuisine we had coastal in Cinque Terre is the same that I had yesterday at Olive Garden.
I don't doubt it for a second.
Midtown.
Mid-city.
Mid-city.
The Glass Olive Garden. We had a good time. It was good. I kind of regret not that I would have taken a sip out of your limoncello margarita, but it did look kind of festive and fun.
It was great. It was a quality margarita, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you guys.
I might have done that thing where, like bartenders, so they take a sip of the drink to make sure they put a little straw and they'll take a little taste.
Yeah.
I'd have like 900 empty straws underneath the bar if I were the bartender. I'd be making sure.
Yeah, you wouldn't do well. If the way you explain me where you can't have one, if you're a bartender, I don't know about that.
Let me check that Coors Light. Yep, that's what it's supposed to be. Let's go.
Right temperature.
Let me check that Bud Light. Yep, that's right. Just everything that comes off that line, we're going to check it. Lakers tonight against the Bulls, the final game on their 12-game homestand. I know there are a couple of road ones in there. But
just one, basically.
Right.
Everything else was
5-6 so far, so a chance to get back to even. They go back on the road for their next 6 against some good teams and some bad teams. So
teams they can beat and also 100% lose against.
Yeah,
that's a 500
you've
team.
got the Hornets and the Celtics on this trip. So that's kind of the two extremes of what you're going to get. Do we even have to see the trip to know anything more about this team? Don't we have a pretty good idea of exactly what they are right now? More than half the season's been played. They're a game under 500. They might be 500 by the end of the day. They might be a couple games under. That this is a average basketball team that when they play well, they can beat almost anybody, but they don't play well all that often.
So you're saying, does the trip change your opinion at all?
Yeah, go 3-3. Does it change your opinion? Go 2-4, 4-2, 5-1, 1-5. I don't think there's any result that really changes it much for me.
So if they went through, because it's been so out of the norm for them to start playing some really good basketball consistently. If they went 5-1, I'd be like, okay, well.
So we just roll it through? You're going to change 3 months of data changes in 2 weeks?
No, it's not just roll it through. This is always going to be the hesitation. I'm going to give you an example. And I think you lean a little bit more towards this as well. I've had this conversation with Michael Thompson, Brad Turner, Mark Medina. There's a lot of people that think if the Lakers just get in, they're a dangerous out. Now, you could define what dangerous out is.
My hand's up on that.
And so I think there are some people that say that. So if they all of a sudden, if you feel like they could be a dangerous out, and then they went 5-1 on the 6-game road trip, I think then your point starts becoming a little bit stronger. They are a dangerous out.
It's funny you say that because to me, it's like they could win 5 of 6. They could also turn around and lose the next 5 of their next 6.
Like I still think they're a dangerous out.
I don't think my opinion on this team isn't going to change. Injuries aside, if they're what they are, they're about 500. They're tough to beat in a series because the way series are played is more advantageous to them than the way that the regular season is played.
Guys that got experience,
right?
Been there, done that.
I like that. If they go 5-1, I like it about the same. If they go 1-5, I don't really change the way I feel about it all that much.
I have a difficult time being sold on this team that switch is just going to come back on. I really do. I mean 22-20. I think we've played enough games. And I'm going to go back to this, and I think this is a conversation that's fair to bring up. Take their 4 best players on this team. Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Austin Reeves, and D'Angelo Russell. All 4 of those guys have basically been there every single game. You're still a game below 500.
Yep.
I have a problem thinking in my head that light, and this is kind of the dangerous thing with teams like this, if they think they could just flip it on. Lakers flipped on the light for an in-season tournament, And then you know what happened after?
Bizarre.
They couldn't flick it back on.
Yeah.
You know how I know they couldn't flick it back on? They were literally 5-11 over 16 games. So don't tell me.
Are you sure they were trying to flick it back on?
Yeah. I do think they were trying to flick it back on.
What makes you say so?
They understand that the danger of being in that 8, 9, 10, how easy that you can potentially be out of it. You can maybe say for a couple of games, 3, 4 games, let's just use as an example. It's like, okay, let's get our feet back under us, something along those lines. They started getting guys back. AD and LeBron James were playing in most of those games. The chatter, listening to them in some of those post-game interviews of just their mood and everything else. No, I did feel like there was an irritation of, why isn't this thing going back on?
I think right when what was it, Miami, and there was another bad
Memphis.
loss. Miami and
those were back-to-back the first 2 games in January.
At that point, I do think it was hey, what the hell's going on? But leading up to that, I think it was more, all right, there's still so many games left. There's so much time. There's LeBron. There's AD. We're going to be okay. Now, when they got to the Miami, and that looked as ugly as it did. When they got to Memphis, and that looked as ugly as it did. At that point, I agree with it. I'm not so sure prior to it. I think since then, they've been better-ish. Not good, but better-ish. And I just keep coming back to LeBron and AD in a series. It's not Patrick Mahomes exactly, but it's one of those. I'm not going to say no chance if LeBron James and AD are playing well.
I don't think anybody will say no chance because it's those 2 players. Nobody's saying that there's no chance, especially if, let's say they ended up being an 8 seed and Oklahoma City has the best record in the NBA. I mean, in the Western Conference, which I think they're sitting at number 1 right now.
Yeah.
You're going to tell me the Lakers don't have a chance against the Thunder, who have never been in a play? Of course they have a chance.
I think the Lakers feel like that too, and I think that's kind of why you get that malaise that they've had, because if they sucked, if they went out there and embarrassed themselves on the regs, I would feel differently about it. But that's not what's happening. They're just inconsistent. They have clunker. That looked a little better. Hey, that looked a lot better. Oh, another clunker. They haven't strung good or bad together for a long period of time.
If they stay where they are right now, which getting out of that top. Getting out of 7 to 10, they're like 4.5 back.
Yeah.
That's especially right now.
It's a decent amount.
Let's see what happens in this road trip and everything else. My concern is they're going to put themselves in a spot where they're one of those 9 seeds. Now you got to win 2 just to get out. And that inconsistent team that you're talking about, where it's now not advantageous to have the playoff format. It's 7 games. They're putting themselves in a spot where they could lose any one of these games.
They are in a spot where nothing would surprise me with them. Could they miss? Yeah, maybe, but probably not. Could they go to the conference finals? Sure. Will they? Probably not. They're everything short of the only thing that I would completely take off the table is they win the whole
championship.
thing.
I agree.
That's the part. No, they're not good enough to do that. There are too many good teams in front of them. Win a couple of series? Sure. Get swept in the first round? Yeah. And that's kind of what they are
Losing
as
the play-in
currently constructed. Sure.
That could, of course, happen.
Not get into the play-in tournament. Yeah, I don't think that's what's going to happen, but that's why I'm not thrilled with it, and that's why I'm not, hey, they got to do something. They'll probably be okay.
Do you know of another team in any sport that's...
No. Baseball is the only other one that if you get in, you got a shot, because all you need is, I just need my guy to pitch well tonight. That's it.
Yeah, but it's almost with the Lakers, and it's like, hey, they could end up a wild card team in the playoffs, or they could end up 15 games behind the division. It's like, what?
All right, we got a couple of phone calls that I want to get into, a little Charger action, and of course, as always, Slee, people want to talk about the Lakers. We'll get to that coming up in just a little bit, but nothing jumps ahead of Factor Cap. That's coming up next. It's Trav and Slee, 710 ESPN. And the top drivers of the NASCAR Cup Series and the Mexico Series, they will race at one of America's best venues, surrounded by the best in entertainment. It's going to be the best, right? That's what it is. I've seen the previous 2 clashes at the Coliseum. It's super fun. I am not the world's biggest NASCAR fan. I've been to both of them. Jorge's been to it. It is a great time at the Coliseum. You got to check it out. The Busch Light Clash at the Coliseum, coming to LA soon, February 4th. Get your tickets right now at NASCARclash.com.
The most followed sports radio station in America.
710 ESPN.
Hey guys, Cap here. I'm out at Yamavant, the 909 with the Bud Light girls, and this upcoming Sunday, it's Championship Sunday. We're going to be here all day. So get on out here. Let's watch the championship games, the AFC game, the NFC game. We're going to find out who's going to the Super Bowl. Me, you, the Bud Light girls here at Yamabat, the 909.
Welcome to Factor Cap.
Hey guys, just some breaking news from Bruce Feldman, who covers college football. Wisconsin is expected to hire Alex Grinch as the Badgers safeties coach. So when USC goes against Wisconsin, whenever that is, I don't know if it's next year or the year after, they need to throw some deep balls down there because it's going to be open because Alex Grinch is maybe not the best defensive coach.
They better hope they play Wisconsin next year because he'll be gone after that because the only place he would last beyond 1 year is at SC.
Right, exactly. All right, so Australian Open is going on right now. We are watching a replay of some of the matches from earlier today on ESPN2 right now. But it got me thinking. It's also the anniversary of one of the times in which Serena and Venus went against each other in the Australian Open. So we have the Harbaughs. The year of the Harbaugh has just happened. Mm-hmm. The year of the Kelsey brothers just happened as well. We've had the Bosa brothers, etc. The Williams sisters are the best sibling athletes. And I'm going to include coaches in there as well. Travis, Patrick Cap.
Fact. The only other one that I think you can put up them against them
Mannings.
and at least make is Peyton and Eli because they each won 2 Super Bowls, right? And Peyton went to 2 others as well. So 6 Super Bowl appearances, 4 titles in the Manning brothers. So that's incredibly impressive. I don't know how many slams the Williams sisters have won, but I bet it's north of 30. Right, and so if
maybe the question is who's second.
Yeah, I think it is who's second.
I don't know if I could argue against that.
Yeah. The Williams, Venus Williams is one of the great female tennis players of all time?
They actually have exactly 30.
30.
So
Okay.
Serena has 23. Venus has 7.
Right. So Venus Williams has 7 Grand Slam titles, and she's not a third as good as her sister. That's nuts. So I mean, it's the Williams sisters by a mile.
Al?
It's funny. I go fact on this one as well, but go back to remember when King Richard came out?
Sure.
This was Will Smith, and it was as best as they can, just the doc of Venus and Serena, not doc, but
But also more about the dad and how he brought them up. Yeah.
But in watching that, part of my favorite portion of it was where Serena's not getting the billing, right? Like all the attention is on Venus, even though the dad kind of knows that, we got something special over there, right? Like, and that to me is, I think, one of the coolest stories of you have somebody that's that successful. And it's like, and I remember this, and there was a time, I don't know how you were in tennis, but tennis is, if there are the right athletes,
sure.
I was,
tennis
Pete
is great.
Sampras, Andre Agassi, like go down the list of some of these players that we were all, Steffi Graf, like you were paying attention to the sport.
McEnroe.
I was paying attention when Venus and Serena were doing their thing, and I didn't know anything about Serena. I'm like, Venus is, tell me somebody who's better.
Serena.
Her sister.
Right. This is what it's like. It's if Phil Mickelson was Tiger, or Tiger Woods was Phil Mickelson's younger brother. That's what it is. Only they didn't win as many Grand Slams as the Williams sisters.
Yeah, it's crazy. And the funny thing, too, about King Richard is, Serena isn't much in that movie. It's mostly a Venus movie because it's more about that beginning of his training of the girls.
The Harbaugh thing, if they're able to pull off, if Harbaugh is able to pull off his own Super Bowl, right?
Jim.
And you got a dude that just won the national championship in college football. And even he was saying afterwards, he's like, now I could sit at the big boys table. It's like, oh my gosh, like the resume of all these guys, what they've accomplished, that's insane.
John's already cashed one, so it would be another one. Jorge?
No, I'm with the guys. You guys pretty much summed it all up. So yeah, fact.
All right, so speaking of tennis as well, there's going to be a new tennis movie called Challengers coming out this year. It's from director Luca Guadagnino, and Zendaya is playing the main woman in the role, and there's 2 guys. And it's kind of like a...
Is it fiction?
It's fiction,
Okay.
and it's like about a tennis player who reaches the height, and she gets injured, and then she becomes a coach of her husband, and then he's rising to the heights. So I don't see many tennis movies being made besides King Richard and this movie coming up. But tennis is a great sport for a movie. Al, fact or cap?
For a movie, I'll go cap on this one. I thought you were going to go tennis is just a great sport to play. And I don't play it that often, but anytime that I've played tennis in the past, like I thoroughly enjoy playing tennis. It's a fun sport to play. As a movie, not as crazy about. King Richard was good. I'm trying to think in my head what other tennis movies are out there.
With Kirsten Dunst.
Because I fall more on the football movies are usually pretty good. The baseball movies are usually pretty good. So I'll go cap on this.
I think the thing is with tennis, it might be a little easier to fake looking, having someone who's not a tennis player, because you can do the shots really close and stuff as opposed to maybe football or soccer. Trev?
It's a great opportunity that has not been executed well because think about this. Boxing movies are never about the boxing. It's about the story of the fighter. It's about the story of the guy and the journey that he goes through.
Overcoming.
The training,
that's what it is. And because boxing is so individual, because you are in there by yourself, you're challenging yourself. It's the story of the fighter, not the fight. You'd have to tell the same story, a compelling story about the player, not tennis.
And
so it's there, but I don't think anybody's really executed it all that well.
Because I think this, honestly, it looks very good, and it might get to that because tennis players are insane. Like, they have to do everything themselves. They are as insane as boxers at times.
Yes.
Where you're not, putting your life at risk the same way. But, they are in their head doing everything. And I think it's like that.
You're on an island.
Yeah.
You have to do it yourself, and there you have a support staff that's helping you get there. But once you step onto that court, that's it.
It's you.
By the way, if you're interested in stories about tennis in general, there's a great book called Carrie Soto is Back. It's a fictional book, but very good, really, really easy to read. Jorge?
I think sports movies in general are hard to make because the actor might not be athletic, because the staff might not know the sport.
Look
So
at
they
you, Tim Robbins.
so they rely on people guiding them through the process, I guess. So I guess it's tough. It would be cap for me, I guess.
All right, so you guys are aware, speaking of Zendaya, do you guys know who Tom Holland is?
Spider-Man?
Yes, he played Spider-Man. He is dating Zendaya.
Oh.
But his main role is Spider-Man in the Avengers series. So do you guys know about the actor Tom Hollander?
No.
No.
He's a British actor. He's been in Pirates of the Caribbean. He was in Pride and Prejudice. He was in White Lotus season 2. He kind of has been a character actor, British character actor for a long time. Does a lot of Shakespeare, things like that. So here's a story that just came out yesterday. So Tom Hollander says he accidentally was sent Tom Holland's box office bonus for Avengers movies.
Oh, damn.
And it was many figures. And he said, quote, "It was an astonishing amount of money, not the whole box office bonus, the first one, and it's more money than he's ever seen."
I bet it had 2 commas.
Oh.
It had 2 commas and 2 digits in front of the 2 commas, okay? And that's just one box office bonus. That's,
my gosh.
It's literally insane what's happening here. But that being said, it was a mistake. It was a mistake by the agency. They confused Tom Hollander and Tom Holland. And I was also talking to my friend last night. She works in publicity, and her organization had repped Tom Hollander, and they thought they got Tom Holland the same way. Anyway, got confused a lot. So you have been confused for someone else before. Jorge, Factor Cap?
Cap, but if it would have happened to me, sorry, is that Zell conversation we had? All right, no reply, and never got anything. But not Cap, I've never gotten. You know what? No, I take that back. When I used to be a waiter, people would come up to me all the time and say, "Hey, how's your tia doing?" And I was like, "Which one?" They're like, "Oh, your tia, how's your pretty much, she was sick. This is." I was like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, you're confusing me with the wrong guy." So I've gotten that before, but not when they send me money or anything like that.
Trev?
No, I haven't. I've never had the oh, you're this guy or that. Like I've said this before. I look like nobody and everybody. You know what I mean? Like there's no like you look alike. I've said this to you. You look a lot like Stanley Tucci to me, and I think that it's there's a resemblance that's there. There's nobody that's I don't get the you look like this person a lot. You get a lot of just random. You look a little like Jeb Bush. Well, Jeb Bush looks like everybody too, right? I look like everybody and nobody, so it's never happened to me.
Al?
Okay, it's Cap, but I have got and this is very random, but there's a radio talk show host in New York, and the founder of the Guardian Angels.
Curtis Sliwa.
Yeah. So I've got a lot of wait a minute, you're in radio, he's in radio, and Sliwa's not a common last
is
name.
That your dad, your uncle?
Yeah.
Is it common in your culture even? Like, or is it just kind of like you're kind of
it's
an
not.
outlier?
Yeah, it's not that. It's not that common. So there's definitely been people within the industry that will say, "Oh, so you're related to Curtis Sliwa. How are you guys related?" Like, not related. I think he's Irish. My parents are from the Middle East. I don't think we have any connection there. So not me individually, but the last name tying it into somebody else who's doing radio.
Maybe you'll get a budget. Maybe you'll get a check from for Curtis Sliwa.
Come on, Curtis.
I would be so excited to see a check like that. Right, that's a John Mulaney joke, right? Where it's like a movie made $140 million or whatever. He goes, you don't even have to make the movie. Just put $100 million in a room and charge people $10 to come look at it. and if there was $100 million in that room, said $10 to see 100. I'd like to see that.
I'm 1,000%
You can add your own $10.
Right,
to
and
the
then you
pile.
put your $10 on the pile. Who doesn't want to do that?
I'm an investor.
We just got to get the first $100 million, and we're off and
But
running.
shouts out to Tom Hollander. He is a great actor, and I hope that he one day makes as much money as Tom Holland.
That's interesting.
Got to be an Avenger, though.
Did he get the money back to Tom Holland, though?
I think it was some sort of they figured it out. I don't know the details of that.
He should have ran to wherever it is you go to change your name. I don't know, Secretary of State or probably something like that, and changed his name to Tom Holland and tried to cash the check that very same day. All right. Giannis is doing a thing that I really don't need Giannis to do. That's coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN. Bud Light was brewed to be a delicious and easy-to-drink beer. They got it right, too. Even when the little things in life are hard, like when the game's going to overtime, but you have even more time to enjoy it, and a fresh Bud Light. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Pick up Bud Light at your local retailer today. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri. And keep your eyes peeled to a certain person's social. We got another one coming.
Contact Tax Relief Helpers for details and restrictions.
on 710 ESPN.
So 2 segments ago, we talked a little bit about like this scenario. A month from now, we're going to be talking about the team that won the Super Bowl and what are the storylines we're going to say about them if they win the Super Bowl, regardless of how they do it. So we talked about the 49ers first, but let's talk about the Ravens. So if the Ravens win the Super Bowl, what are we talking about with them?
Lamar got his. I think for me, the storyline's all going to be about Lamar Jackson. That here's somebody that has been incredibly disappointing in the playoffs, and then when all the pressure was on, don't freaking screw it up. You got to get through Mahomes. You got through the 49ers, I'm assuming. We'll see who comes up on the other side, but the more important, you got through Mahomes.
Yep.
And there's a little bit of a watch out because Mahomes is also one of those players that doesn't it feel like if he gets his, and now that's off his back.
Jackson, you're talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get he gets his, and that pressure is off his back. Well, now you just go play football every single. Now I got through Mahomes to win a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a little bit of that. It's Lamar that I pay most attention to more than anything else. That's how I'd feel if Baltimore got
Well,
him.
Lamar is half of it, I think. I agree with everything you said. Al, the other part is it makes the Ravens one of those teams, right? It makes the Ravens one of those teams that every year you got to factor them into how good are they going to be? Are they Super Bowl good or are they just playoff good? They got the right coach. They got the right quarterback. That Emily, you've brought this up a couple of different times because you are a fan of a team that's in the AFC North. You, I think, are seeing them more than maybe somebody that's more of a West Coast-oriented football fan, that the Ravens play a certain style that's always tough to deal with. And if it's racking Super Bowls, and this would be John Harbaugh's second Super Bowl, you have to throw him in there with the Andy Reids. You have to throw him in there with that Patriot run. And not that it's that high of a level, but it's more like the Steelers with Mike Tomlin and Ben Roethlisberger, where it's just they got these two guys. They're going to be a problem to deal with every single season.
But your opinion of the franchise, they have a couple Super Bowls. I think they have two Super Bowls, right?
And they've gone to the Super Bowl twice. They've won twice.
Yeah.
And I think I already have, I feel like I already have an image of the Baltimore Ravens. And I already have an image, I feel like, of the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's certain, I'll keep Ravens on their own. I don't know how much it changes my image. I think, hold them to a really high standard. I mean, since you could call it in the last 25 years, if they win another one, that's 3 in 25 years.
Pretty damn good.
Yeah.
3, yeah. The first one they won is in 2001. I really think that, yes, it does make it. I think they have low-key been one of the most consistent teams in NFL for over the past 20 years. They've rarely been very bad because of John Harbaugh.
Yeah.
I think if John
and
Harbaugh.
Ozzie Newsome.
Yes. And I think if John Harbaugh gets another ring, it puts himself in a different category as a coach. And I think that you'd learn a lot about him. And also, back to your Lamar point, he was disregarded this past offseason. Nobody wanted him.
Had to represent himself,
if you were the Falcons, you are kicking yourself that you said no to Lamar Jackson. And then he's going to take this team to the Super Bowl in this world that they win the Super Bowl. You're the Falcons, that's terrible.
Think about what they have. They have the three-headed monster that you need to have sustained success. You have the right coach in John Harbaugh. You have an elite-level quarterback in Lamar Jackson. And you have an owner in Steve Bisciotti who spends money and stays the hell out of the way. And not in an absentee way, but in a empower smart people to make decisions. Ozzie Newsome, you run the show here. Ozzie hands it off to the next guy. They run the show. The head coach is in charge of the football. There's no meddling. There's no cheapness. They got owner, quarterback, coach. That works.
And almost every year, the conversation around the Ravens is that they were injured. This year is one of their least injured seasons, and you see what happens there. So I think that is a well-rounded answer of what could happen if the Ravens win.
The Chargers have 2 of the 3 pieces, we think. They got the coach, and now they got the quarterback, and now they have the head coach in Jim Harbaugh, the other brother. Ryan in Venice. Ryan, you're on with Trav and Slee. What's going on, Ryan?
Hey, Trav, just wanted to – I'm glad you said that, but I was just going to push back on what you had said earlier, like, Herbert is on the Subway ads and nobody knows who he is, and he goes 5-11 every season. Herbert is a bona fide stud. The guy is a top 6, top 7-ish quarterback in the league. Harbaugh doesn't take the job if he doesn't know that. They are going to be absolutely a really good team next year. I go to the playoffs, probably win a playoff game, and I will call you back after they win a playoff game next
Ryan,
year.
stay for a quick second, because I think you would agree with this, that, okay, the talent is there, but you can't say anybody's top 5, top 6 until they go through this playoff run. And if you want to make the argument, well, they didn't have the coach to do it, you could be right. But I think it's fair to kind of question, okay, well, let this man do it now with a coach where there isn't going to be excuses. I think a lot of people think he's very talented. Unfortunately, do you want to put that on the coaching staff or do you want to put it on him? Maybe it's a combination of the two. Harbaugh will bring out the best in him. So in a year, we could be having a much different conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I think, unfortunately, I think Staley was literally the worst coach in the league. So we've seen good quarterbacks when they're in bad situations not have success, and then they go to a good situation, and then, think about, like, I don't know. I mean, there's plenty of examples, but I'm just letting y'all know. Herbert, watch out for him next year.
Well, Ryan, thanks for the call, Ryan. Appreciate it. A couple of things. I think you and I are actually in the same spot. The reason Jim Harbaugh chose the Chargers, and let's be perfectly clear, the Chargers didn't choose him, he chose them. Jim Harbaugh could have gone pretty much wherever he wanted in the NFL based on his resume. You're right. The reason that L.A. was the place that he wanted to go was because of Herbert. We're on the same page there. But that's my whole point, is that's why the pressure is now on Justin Herbert. And we will see. Can he do it? Yeah, I think he probably will. But until you do it, I don't know.
Sure.
I'm one of these guys.
It's kind of the Purdy conversation
I need to see it.
Sure.
I need to see it. And, of course, you call back anytime, and especially if I'm wrong, if that ever happens. You're welcome to call back whenever you'd like to do that. Speaking of Jim Harbaugh got the Charger job yesterday. It is our draft coming up next. Our favorite Jims. It's coming up. It's Travis Slee, 710 ESPN.
John Ireland here with the Hall of
ESPN.
All right, guys, we are doing our famous Jims, J-I-M, draft, and the order is Sliwa, Travis, Jorge, Emily. 3 picks each, 12 total, because that's all that can fit in the graphic, right, Parker?
See.
Awesome. All right, Sliwa, you're up first.
Okay. Kind of want to, I think all of us, he's so all over the place when it comes to acting. Some of the more iconic movies that are out there. The comedy certainly fills that category. Start filling it in. You already have done it. Jim Carrey. That would be my number one pick.
I would have fallen on the floor had you picked somebody else.
Yeah.
I think
it's a perfect number one overall pick. It's
it
a
is.
Great
It's a great choice.
Are Jimmys also?
Well, we're about to find out.
Let me specify.
We're about to find out.
I'm not allowing Jameses. Okay, so if you know a person and they're known as James, doesn't count. They have to be Jim or Jimmy.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jimmy should be all right.
So Travis asked if James Cameron counts, and I said you already answered your question. It does not
his
count.
friends call him Jim.
Okay, are you his friend?
I could be for the purposes of this.
No, but anybody. If they go by Jim or Jimmy, it counts. And you could do characters. You don't have to do a real person. It could be a character. All right, Trav.
All right, Jimi Hendrix. I'm gonna go musician route. He's iconic, and there's a little bit of a sports connection because he had that great national anthem. I'm gonna take Jimi Hendrix.
All righty, Jorge.
This is just for fun, okay?
I know what you're gonna pick.
Who?
You say it.
Oh, well,
you say it.
Jimmy G, baby.
Yeah.
Jimmy G, just for laughs. That's my quarterback.
Number 3 overall pick.
Number
By the way,
10,
you could have
baby.
took him.
Number 10.
You could have took him way down the list. You would have been all right.
13th, 14th, and you'd be fine.
You would have been
This is not who I
okay.
thought you were gonna pick. But go off, King. Good job. So
Make sure he's on the graphic, Parker. Put Jimmy G on that graphic.
I mean, it's gonna get some likes with Jimmy G's face on the graphic. All right, so my first pick is gonna be Jim from The Office. I think that one of my favorite characters of all time. I think he's great. He's played really well. I've grown up with him. Jim from The Office is an iconic Jim to me. My second pick, though, let's go. So you know me. We went to a chain restaurant yesterday. We went to a chain restaurant. I love chain restaurants. It's my favorite things of all time. And rest in peace, Jimmy Buffett. Jimmy Buffett is my second pick. So I have Jim from The Office and Jimmy Buffett. Jorge, second pick.
I'm going to go with...
Jimmy G again.
No, Jimmy G the third. Not No, I'm going to go with Jimmy Kimmel. I used to watch these.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Guillermo's great. I love Guillermo. Guillermo's one of my dudes. So Jimmy Kimmel's my second pick.
I don't like that you took that.
Yeah.
That's
unfortunate.
you
were taking that one.
I
thought I was going to fall
I
to you,
thought
too.
I could get him on the flip. Okay. I know you said Jims and Jimmys. What about GYM Jim?
Are they called? Is he called Jim?
It's a Jim.
Is it a person?
No.
No, we're drafting Jim.
Well, it's a Jim.
What is it?
Gold's Jim.
No, that doesn't count.
I think it counts. I think that
drafting
counts.
famous J-I-M.
Yeah, well,
no, we're not. I'm not counting Gold's Jim.
But it's a Jim.
All right,
we're drafting
GYM.
this.
That doesn't count.
We live in a country.
Nope, doesn't count. Doesn't count.
We live in a country.
Sure.
Where everything is done based on voting. Should GYM
It's a Jim.
count? Raise your hand if you think it should count.
Me.
And you know what's fun? The only vote that counts is mine.
3-1.
So pick again, Travis.
That's too bad. I was very pleased with my Gold's Jim. What are you going to do?
Go around the rules. It's fine.
Jimmy Hoffa.
Okay.
Because nobody knows where he is. He's kind of that go-to when, they'll find him when they find Jimmy Hoffa. Like he's the gold standard for guys that have disappeared, even though he's probably buried in the Meadowlands.
Love it. All right, Al, you got 2.
Let's go Jim Nantz.
Yeah, perfect.
Let's take him off the board. One of my favorite announcers / broadcasters. I thought actually you were going to take him just because of his work with golf. I
Hello,
thought
friends.
Maybe he was going to be in that territory with you.
Why don't you ask these golfing boys some questions, Jim?
Can I weigh in on Jim Nantz for just a second?
Yep.
God bless him for dealing with Tony Romo week by week.
You're just a Romo hater.
I'm not just a Romo hater. He is bad now.
Did you think?
I cannot stand it.
Think about what you just said. He is bad now.
When
he first started, I thought everybody loved him. And then now I feel like it's churned, and anything he says, they're taking it. And there are some moments where I'm like, what the hell is Tony Romo talking about?
Yeah.
What happened to him?
He got worse. I think the thing...
Do you remember when it started? Everyone was like, oh, my God, look at his energy. This is so great. He's calling out plays before it even happens.
Let me say something. Like, why... One, it's like... I'm not trying to do like what everyone else is. I'm having my own opinion about like how I changed my view about him over time. And I think that at the beginning, he was a new voice. He was excited about things, and he was predicting things, and they happened. Okay, so maybe he had better insight about the game than I did, and that's why he's interesting to have in that game. And I do think he still knows way more than I do about football than I will ever know about football. But as time's gone on, it feels like he's gotten a little lazy. It feels like he's gotten a little bit doesn't try as hard and his stuff as much, and it's just he's wrong all the time. So props to Jim Nance for keeping up with him. Your second pick, Al?
Third pick here. Final pick for me. I'm going to go. I think he's a more interesting character around the NBA. We talked about him, I think, earlier in the week that this dude just recorded 60 country songs. He's actually really entertaining to watch. He's had some really good videos on YouTube. He's
a barista.
A little bit of everything. Yeah, he's killing his coffee company. Go Jimmy Butler with my third pick.
This is a very Sliwa 3. I think you got probably. Are these your top threes?
Yeah, this is it.
Yeah, well,
I number one, obviously, we all think would have took Jim Carrey. The Jim from The Office was high on that list too.
All right, Trav.
Gold's Jim.
Try again.
What if there was a competitor out there? It comes out. It's Gold's JIM.
I would count that.
All right. Since you don't want me to have any fun, I'll pick a more traditional Jim along the way. What television show do I mention a lot here? And you all look at me blank face. So you're all going to give me a blank face when I do it again
West
today.
Wing?
No, The Simpsons. Right?
Oh, yeah.
I know none of you guys are Simpsons people, but one of the bullies in The Simpsons is named Jimbo Jones. And he's the one that has the little snow hat on all the time. He's always picking on Bart, so I want Jimbo Jones.
The snow hat.
Yeah. Like I said, I know you don't get it. I know other people will.
All right, Jorge.
I'm looking at the list. I don't recognize any of the Jims on this one, except for Jim Brown. But I'll go with
problematic.
I'll stick to comedy, and we'll go with Jimmy Fallon.
There
Jimmy
you go.
Fallon's my third one.
Ugh.
Speaking of The Simpsons, what are you laughing at? If you say Jimmy Fallon, I know you're lying.
Yeah, Jorge, you did not round out this pick very well.
Yeah, that's all good.
All right, I have two of my top picks still left that I'm interested to see which one I should pick. I think I'm going to go with this one because I think it's going to be more applicable to all of our listeners because I think we've all, come close to this guy. We've interacted with this guy on nights, weekends, fun times. I'm going to go Jim Beam. So that's my last pick.
Good one.
Jim Beam. Which is why I'm surprised you didn't take it.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
I wish I would have.
Yeah.
It's not as good as Gold's Jim, but Jim Beam's a really good one.
No, hold on. We can't do that. Then that's a product. You can't do that. I couldn't take
It's a
Gold
character.
Jim.
He's
No.
a
Unfortunately,
He's a real person, Jim.
she's
Jim
the
Beam
draft
existed.
czar. Or
Jim
what?
Beam existed.
Yeah.
Just letting you know.
It's a good idea.
I don't know if that's. I think Jim Beam is like one of those corporate icons, like Shooter McGavin kind of.
But he's a
Shooter
character.
McShooters.
Even if he's not a real person, he's a character. Just like Jim from The Office.
I'm not going to put my head in the lion's mouth again. I wanted my Gold's Jim. I didn't get it. It's your draft. You win. You can have Jim
Another
Beam.
person we left off was Jimmy McGill. We all watched him.
Oh, yeah.
Jimmy McGill would
Good
have been
one.
a good pick. Jim Gaffigan. Jimmy Neutron.
Jimmy
Boy
Neutron's
genius.
not bad. Jimmy Carter.
Belushi.
Yeah, Belushi. Yeah, all great ones.
Yeah, the only president there was a James Buchanan, but only Jimmy Carter. Which, by the way, President Jimmy. Let's go, James.
Yeah.
Like James, I'm comfortable with his finger on the button. A Jimmy, nah. Jimmy shouldn't have the code. That's a little risky. All right, so I mentioned it a second ago. Giannis is becoming like the most typical NBA player that I've seen in quite some time. That's coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN. Say that again, Em?
Got a lot
We can talk about Giannis right
we
now.
got a lot of time here.
We got plenty of time,
Okay,
Trev.
where are you going?
That's my fault. I'm just used to the draft taking up the whole time.
You know what's so funny? I thought I'd looked up at the clock earlier, and I'm like,
bad
man,
hosting.
that went pretty fast.
That's bad hosting by me.
And then when I just looked up, I'm like, oh, we got new clocks.
That's bad hosting by me. That's
why is Giannis becoming more?
Because he's telling lies that everybody knows are lies. He said that he was
not a good look.
He was surprised at Adrian Griffin getting fired. No, he wasn't. He probably knew that Adrian Griffin was getting fired before Adrian Griffin found out that he had been fired. Giannis is the best player on that team. Giannis is one of the best players, if not the best player, in the whole league. They do not fire the coach without talking to the best player. I'm not saying that he ultimately can, Caesar this thing, thumbs up, thumbs down it one way or the other, but they called Giannis and said, hey, listen, man, real quick, we're going to do this, and that he didn't know what was going to happen is ridiculous. Of course he knew.
I think I've mentioned this to you before. There's certain ways that I think you could dance around certain questions. If the question comes to Giannis, hey, did you have any idea this was going down, and were you surprised of the firing? I'm trying to think of, from Giannis's perspective, how do you answer that question?
Honestly. Yeah, I thought, I mean, we haven't been getting done what we need to get done. I thought that maybe there was a change that might have happened, and I'm excited to have Doc here. Change the subject quickly, right?
I don't know.
You don't have to say you're surprised. You just have to.
I agree you don't have to say you're surprised, because that is the part where we all know it's disingenuous. Stop. No.
Or how about this, Al?
The way sports works today, the star player
Ask me the question.
gets a say.
Ask me the question.
Are you surprised that Adrian Griffin was fired?
Look, I don't want to get into what happened there. I just know I'm thrilled that Doc's here. I'm thrilled to play for.
That's it.
I'm thrilled that Doc Rivers is here. I've always thought that he's one of the best coaches in the league. I can't wait for him to get here, and we can go get better as a basketball team.
100%, I get it. But were you surprised? When
like I said, I really don't want to get
Griffin...
into my emotional state when I found out. I'm excited that Doc's here.
Okay, cool. So
that's what I mean. Don't. Come on, man. Like, I'm okay with you not telling the truth, but don't tell me something that I know is not real.
How did you and Adrian Griffin get along?
It's a stupid quote.
It was, like any other coach and player. We had our ups and our downs.
Okay.
And everybody knows. And it's, they're not gonna keep hammering away at it.
I think the one thing you can't do is say what he said.
Yeah.
So I think that's the angle here. The angle here is, if he could just not almost look at us like we're stupid, that would be the one thing that you'd pay attention to.
We may have blown the gym draft. Andy Kamenetsky is texting me right now, and Andy appreciated Jimbo Jones. So Andy and I are pro Simpsons. Jim Hill.
Oh yeah.
Jim Morrison.
Gosh dang it.
No,
I'm
but
gonna
for
see him later
LAM,
today.
I know that Jim Hill's been on TV in this town. I talked to Jim on Monday. Jim was out at Riviera. I said the same thing to Jim. I see Jim Hill is on the list that does not fill up all 5 of my fingers on my right hand of people I've asked to take a picture with. It's George Brett, Nolan Ryan, and Jim Hill. Those are the 3 guys I've said, hey, would you mind if we do a quick picture? And I saw Jim at Riviera. I said, I know I'm in the right spot.
AK is right.
If
AK,
Jim Hill is there,
Andy, you're right.
We blew it.
Tomorrow when AK is on, he could yell at all of us.
Yeah. Any other Jims that we forgot along the way?
I have a question. I have a question for you guys. I have a question for you guys. My thing kept going off. When does a James decide if they are James or Jim? Because I feel like, someone tweeted at me that Jim from The Office is actually named James. Yes, every Jim is a James. Okay, that's not the point. But if you were blessed with the name of
cheated.
James,
you basically, your pick is in question.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you were blessed with the name James, when do you think you would choose what nickname you wanted?
I know the answer to this, and I'm failing this test as we speak. It's up to the dad, or more specifically, it's up to the mother and the father to make that transition. I keep calling my son Bobby Bob, hoping that it'll stick, because he's in his 20s. He needs to be Bob, right? It's like you need Bobby's fine. It's fine, but Bobby feels 12. Bobby doesn't feel 23. Let's be 23. Let's be Bob. You know what I mean? I don't know. Is that stupid?
No.
It's not stupid.
Okay.
My uncle's name is Bob, but I don't think it was Bob his whole life. I think it was Bobby when he was a kid.
Right. So I'm trying. I'm fighting a one-man fight at this point. I'm the only one that calls him Bob.
Who are the famous Bobbies who grew up?
Bobby Kennedy?
Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
Bobby Bonilla?
Bobby Bonilla.
Yeah.
Bobby Marks of ESPN.
Sure.
I also feel like a Bobby works for a baseball player as opposed to a Bob, but you're not having CEO Bobby, you know? It's also like in The Office when Andy tried to be Andrew all of a sudden.
Right.
But when you've already introduced yourself, it has to be when you meet someone for the first time and you're starting, like in college. Like, say you go to college and you're not going to college with anyone from high school. You could change your name and say, hey, I'm actually I'm Andrew. And then everyone will know you as Andrew. Like my friend Christine, her friends from college call her Teeny because that's what everyone calls me. But I've only known her as Christine.
Okay.
And so it's very interesting.
Once you heard Teeny, did you immediately make the switch?
No. Because I know her as Christine.
I do like to co-opt other people's nicknames for people. It feels oddly familiar. I like that. 877-710-ESPN if we forgot any other famous Jims. We're on to our next team, man. We're going to do the Lions next. What does it mean if they win it all?
Yeah, let's do.
That's next. It's Trav and Slee, 710 ESPN. And I got the break right this time. 1 for 2 this segment, Slee. Batting 500. Your neighborhood, your handy neighborhood neighbors. See, I'm a mess. I mean, you know what we're going to do? See, sometimes you just got to take a step back. Sometimes you got to start over. Sometimes you hit the reset button. For instance, Slee, your handy neighbors at Next Gen Air and Plumbing, they're back with 2 new ways to help home comfort and safety easy and affordable. They've launched the Next Gen Rebate Hotline to help you pay as little as possible on new furnace and AC systems, on water heaters, and a whole lot more. They're rebate experts. They're standing by right now to help you find, check this, every local rebate, every state rebate, and every federal rebate possible so you save every penny that you can. It's as easy as a phone call. The Next Gen Rebate Hotline at 833-3 Next Gen. And for a limited time, they're also offering 0 payments for 90 days on approved credit. That's no payments for 90 days on air conditioning and furnace systems, water heaters, whole home water filtration systems, and indoor air quality systems. So find out how you can qualify for 0 payments for 90 days when you call the Next Gen Rebate Hotline at 833-3 Next Gen, plus local, state, and federal rebates. That's 833-3 NEXGEN.
LA's mega sports station.
710 ESPN.
little Jim Morrison action. My mom just fired off 94 Jims along the way, and she's very disappointed I didn't select Jim Rome.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all? Honestly, you would have won with that.
I know. It's the right pick because A, he is famous, and B, it's the right choice for me.
Yeah, I thought Garoppolo there. You would go Rome.
I should have.
Pick.
You guys let me down.
Well,
let myself down.
I'm not picking Jim
I'm a
Rome.
loser.
Who else did your mom mention?
Jim Garner, an actor who she knew. My mom grew up on that side of town where the actors lived, and like she used to roll with a group of people that are pretty famous. I'm not going to. Jim Garner was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So she dropped him. She had Jim Jones from the Jonestown Massacre.
I mean, infamous.
Yeah. What else did she have along the way? Let's see. My mom also had the Jim Jones, Jim Palmer, Jimmy Johnson, both of them.
Jimmy Johnson,
yeah.
Did she agree with you that Jim, G-Y-M, should have stayed?
Let's not get into that.
She probably didn't want to hear it.
Let's not get into that. Let's try one more phone call here. Let's go to Inglewood and Kenny. Kenny, you're on with Travis Slee. What's up?
Yes, sir. 80s iconic wrestler, 4x2 on his shoulder, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Ho!
Okay, yeah. I don't know why I know Hacksaw Jim Duggan, but I know the name. He carried a 2x4. That was his prop?
Yeah.
Did he smack people
he had
with
a
it?
funky haircut, too.
Okay, that's pretty. I know. What about Jim Ross, the guy that called all the wrestling matches? Kenny, is that a good choice?
Yeah, and I think you'll like this one, too. Jim Edmonds, only because he had one of the greatest catches as an outfielder. And this is coming from a Dodger fan.
You know what's funny, Kenny? I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm not so sure that's not the greatest catch in the history of baseball.
Center field, complete dive.
It's like catching a football, right?
No.
I don't know how he saw it. I don't know how he found it, but it's, because Jim Edmonds was a really good player, don't get me wrong, but had Ken Griffey Jr. made that catch, forget about it. Thanks for the call, Kenny. That was good. Jorge, do you know that one?
No.
Type it in right now. Go to YouTube.
Ball's hit. It's dead center field. Like it's hit directly at him. He turns his back to home plate, and he's running full speed directly at the center field wall.
He's trying to track it down behind his shoulder, looks on the other shoulder, and then decides, I'm just going to dive.
Like he's
fully
Jerry Rice. and he catches it. It's as good. Parker, put your hand down. I know you're an Angel guy, and I want to say it was in Kansas City, if I'm remembering it correctly, but it's about as good as you're ever going to see. Just crazy. Emily, what about the Lions?
Casey.
Yeah, so if the Lions, we've been talking about this a little bit. Again, picture yourself a month from now, what storylines we're talking about with whomever wins. We talked about the 49ers so far, and we've talked about the Ravens. So let's talk about the Lions, the biggest underdog by far here in this playoffs. What are we going to be talking about with the Lions next month if they win the Super Bowl?
Okay. Is it as simple as this, Al? Holy blank. Is that not the takeaway from if the Lions win the Super Bowl, it's holy blank the Lions won the Super Bowl. That a team that hadn't hosted a playoff game in a million years, a team that hadn't won the division in a million years, that hadn't advanced in the playoffs in a million years, won the whole – they're only one – I think they're only one of three teams that has not maybe four. There's only a very small group of teams that haven't even appeared in a Super Bowl. The Lions are one of them. That in the Super Bowl started late 60s, they haven't even been in one. Carolina's been in one, right? It's Houston, it's Jacksonville, it's Cleveland, and I believe the Detroit Lions. I think there's only four that haven't even been to a Super Bowl. It would be holy, I can't believe that just happened.
Yeah, and I maybe I'm being a little dramatic here. It'd be, for me, kind of one of the cooler stories I've seen in sports. Think about it. The Detroit Lions, not a franchise that has ever really done anything, and let's not forget some of the other storylines with the Lions. Some of them are local ties because of Jared Goff.
Sure.
Some of them are Dan Campbell's first interview, and you're like, who the hell did they just hire? Like, what the hell is this?
Well, we're going to go in there, we're going to get knocked down, and we're going to bite your kneecaps off, and then we're going to chew on your hips.
Like, this is, and then 3 years later, they're competing for a Super Bowl. And I'm a fan of stories like this. I know that maybe you don't care as much as the underdog story. Detroit is as much of a blue collar, we roll up our sleeves, and they care for their team. So this is not a city that doesn't care. They obviously care. I think it'd be one of the cooler stories that I've watched in sports.
There's one other element to this too that when you said Dan Campbell, it reminded me of it. and I'm not calling Dan Campbell this, but I think it would open Pandora's box to this. It would reintroduce us to the era of the meat-headed coach, the guy that is all heart and no strategy, right? That we've seen it before. Jorge, your team, the San Francisco 49ers ended up with Mike Singletary because he's all passionate. He didn't know what he was doing, right? Is he incredibly passionate? Does he give great copy at the podium? Yeah. We've seen a lot of guys that were football guys, right? Yeah, cool. Well, the archetype for the modern NFL coach is Sean McVay. It's Kyle Shanahan. It's Matt LaFleur. It's Kevin O'Connell. It's these very polished, young, fit, smart guys. Offensive-minded. Like, that is the guy that everybody's trying to find the next guy like that. But if Dan Campbell wins the Super Bowl, you're going to get more Dan Campbells.
You might get him anyways. You might get him just with some of the success.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But if he wins it all, well, we just got to get a guy here to motivate the fellas. Okay, he needs to know how to coach football. Dan Campbell does, as it turns out, know how to coach guys. But we've seen guys that, I talk like this. I'm a football coach. Mm-hmm. When we go in here and we do this, we're going to fight like hell. Yeah, cool. What's the game plan? Well, we're just going to punch him in the mouth. Yeah, that's not a plan. Mm-hmm. You know, what the hell are you doing?
But he's also proving he's not Coach O. He's proving that he is someone probably capable of coaching.
Everything's on the line.
That's so good.
Coach O won a Super Bowl championship too.
Yeah, he did.
Yes, he did. But, right? And that's the Coach O legacy. He did. Mm-hmm. He absolutely, positively did.
One of the best college football teams of all time.
No question about it. Loaded with talent. But, and the but is enormous.
Everything's on the line.
Right. Absolutely. Northridge and Jackson. Jackson, you're on with Trav and Slee. What's up?
Hey guys, great show today, but come on, Travis, you're OG, man. You had to remember Jim Plunkett, Super Bowl winner.
Yeah, no, I know Jim Plunkett, Heisman Trophy winner. Jim Plunkett, okay, random fact about Jim Plunkett. I don't know why I know this, but I know this. He and Eli Manning are the only two guys to win 2 Super Bowls as a quarterback that are not in the Hall of Fame.
Eli's not there yet.
Not yet, but yeah, Jim Plunkett is there. He had a helmet that was 4 sizes too small. I remember even as a kid, I was preoccupied with random details, and I'm watching this. So when Jim Plunkett won the Super Bowl with the Raiders in, like, I think it was 1980 or 81, they beat the Eagles, and I'm watching Jim Plunkett play quarterback. I'm like, that guy's helmet is at least 7 sizes too small. It's like pinching so hard that his face is bulging out the front. And then Jim Plunkett opened up a bar in Santa Barbara when I was a student there, and I saw him. I'm like, oh, that helmet, there isn't a helmet big enough. He's got the biggest head I've ever seen in my life. He's just this huge guy. He won the Heisman Trophy. He's amazing. But he had this head the size of a beach ball. Like, there wasn't a helmet that was going to fit over the top of that thing.
Jackson also didn't have the time to ask you what I thought he was going to ask you when he started doing that you're an OG because you're so old, because he was going to bring up Jimmy Stewart, who was probably your contemporary at the time because he was in It's a Wonderful Life.
I screwed up. I should have went Jimmy Johnson.
The race car driver.
Should have done my...
Yeah. He's an Eagle.
Yeah, I should have went Jimmy Johnson.
Eagle. Jimmy Stewart would have been a good pick. Was he not a James Stewart, though, officially?
So... Again, I think it depends on whether you. I think because
depends how she's feeling.
I think that
It's a Wonderful Life. I don't know this well enough. Is he credited as James Stewart or Jimmy Stewart?
I don't know.
I'll look it up. Look it up.
I don't know. I feel good about I like my Jims, but I really want Jim Hill.
And GYM.
Yeah, and that I thought was very creative. And I should have taken Jim Rome. That was the right pick for me. I blew it.
Redraft.
What are you going to do? Our picks against the spread, which Emily just got paid out on the regular season. We still got to get through 2 more weeks of the postseason. That's next. It's Trav and Slee, 710 ESPN.
Coming up today.
Emily's victory lap for winning the regular season. We went to Olive Garden and we feasted.
Right, we did.
We had a great afternoon. The prize for the postseason is similar. Instead of a lunch, we're going to do a breakfast as a show unit. And I have the lead right now, but it's a very small lead. I have 24 points. Slee and Jorge have 22, and Emily is currently in fourth, but it can change very quickly with 18. I've already picked out my spot. I know one of you will love it, and the other two are TBDs, but I'm going to save it for if/when I win. Let's see here. Slee, you are going last. Emily, you're batting leadoff right here. The first game is Kansas City at Baltimore. Baltimore is the number 1 seed. Baltimore is the home team, and they are 4-point favorites.
All right, so I do think this is going to be an incredibly close game. Just to start off with, I think that it's going to be a little better weather, not as cold. But I think it's hard to pick against Mahomes until he proves me wrong. So I have Chiefs at my 1, though.
Kansas City at 1. Jorge.
Give me the Ravens at my 4.
Ooh, Baltimore up high. Laying the 4 and picking up the Ravens all the way up top.
Logo theory.
I am going to go with it. Logo theory is not a bad way to do it. There's red in the logo, too, guys. It's red and purple this year. I'm going to take the Chiefs for exactly the same reason as I took them last week. Until Patrick Mahomes is no longer available to be picked, I'm going to continue to pick him. I think they're going to win. I just think that that's the sort of football team that they are, and I get 4 points to play with. Jorge, I'm going straight up against you at 4 as well, but I'm taking the other team, Kansas City at 4. Sleep.
Hate the points. I actually think Ravens win this game. Hate the points, but I'm going to ride this one out. Not very confident about it. I'm going to go Ravens with my 2.
Ravens with 2. Jorge batting leadoff here. He's taking San Francisco at 6. That brings it to me. Jorge always puts the Niners at the top. The spread is the Niners 7-point favorites, so you got to give up 7. I'm going to take the Lions because of the 7 and because of Brock Purdy. That's why I'm headed towards the Lions right now. But San Francisco has a lot of other really, really good players, so I don't love the pick. Detroit at 2 for me. Al.
Not changing much here. I'm going to go Lions with my 1.
M.
So I think the 49ers got their scare last week. I think they got their scare. I think that they overcame that, and I think that they are going to kick the you-know-what out of the Lions.
I've been wrong on the Niners probably 13 weeks in a row, so I think you guys might be in good shape.
I think that the 49ers are going to really flex their muscles and prove what they are with or without Deebo Samuel, but I had it at my 49ers at the 3.
49ers at
Update
3.
on Samuel. He's practicing today. He didn't practice yesterday, but he's expected to practice today.
He'll play.
He'll play.
Short of him not being able to move, he's going to play for sure. All right, so number 3, it is the NFC total. The over-under, right? Okay. However you like to refer to it. It's 51.5. I'm going first here. It's 26 points each to go over. Both of these teams have great offenses. The Niners have a very formidable defense. If Emily is right and they smash them, I do think that this thing goes under. I'm going to take the NFC under at 1. Al.
I'll go under. I'm going to go 4.
NFC under at 4?
Yeah.
NFC under at 4. M.
All right, so I'm doing under at my 6, and I'm usually someone who's like, I hate unders. Unders are no fun. I'm taking the under because I do think that it's going to be 49ers scoring a ton of points and Lions scoring very few. I think this is where the Lions' inexperience in the playoffs catches up with them, and so I think under at 6.
Jorge, opportunity here. We all went over, or under, excuse me.
Yeah, I'm going to go over at 3. Do I have 3?
NFC over 3. At 3 for Jorge. All right, Sliwa, you're up next. AFC total 46.5.
AFC total 46.5. I'm going to go over with my 3.
AFC over at 3. M.
I am yet again going under. I do think this is going to be a defensive battle because the Chiefs' defense is very good. I think the Ravens' defense obviously is very good. I think it's going to come down to a couple drives here and there. So I think this game is going to be played in the 20s, but I think it just might barely be under. So under at my 2.
AFC under at the 2. Jorge.
During these games. You'll be watching for so many things.
I got my 5 left here.
You do?
I'll go over at my 5.
AFC over at the 5. Jorge's got a chance to run away with this thing because I'm going under 2. I think what she said is right. AFC under at number 3 for me, which means you and I have a lot of high-dollar picks left on the board.
So, yeah, we do. Yeah, we have our 5 and our 6 left.
Emily, you are up batting first again. Brock Purdy interception total is 0.5. Does he throw a pick or not is what you're betting on. What do you got?
I do think that he throws a pick. I think that he throws a pick, and I think this pick is going to be early. I think they're going to have to come back from it. So I think I'm going to go over at my 4.
Purdy over at 4. Jorge.
I'll go Purdy over at 1.
Purdy over at 1. I'm going to go Purdy over at 6. Sliwa.
My brother.
Unanimous?
We're in together on Purdy. Purdy with my over 6.
Purdy over at 6.
Is that funny that we're using
nobody's loving Brock Purdy staying clean as far as interceptions go.
It's 1. He throws 1.
We're
not asking for much.
He came close to throwing 3 against the Packers, right?
And also might not even be his fault. It could be tipped. It could be a drop pass.
Or it could be his fault.
And one's not – you can throw one and still play really well.
Yeah.
That's the other part of it, too,
The Matthew Stafford special.
The Matthew Stafford special.
Josh Allen was he 0.5 last week, too?
And didn't throw one. Last one, total yards.
It's a good one.
Right?
It's a really good
passing and rushing combined, which player has more, Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson? Jorge. You've got your 2 left.
I'll say Mahomes.
Mahomes at 2. I, too, am going to take Mahomes at 5. That's what I have left. Slee, Jackson or Mahomes at 5?
This is very simple. I'm kind of riding this entire train on the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to take Lamar Jackson with my 5.
Jackson at 5. Emily, you have your 5 left. Lamar or Patrick?
So, contrary to my pick for this game, I think I'm going to take Lamar Jackson. I think why it's not. I think that the Chiefs do have a good rushing game. Mm-hmm. They can rush Pacheco. They can get McKinnon out there. I think if he's still playing, then Edwards-Helaire maybe. Who knows if he doesn't fumble again. But I think that Mahomes' style right now is just a lot of short passes and a lot of yak. It's still his. But I think that it's going to be Jackson's going to outshine Mahomes, but the Chiefs are going to win.
Lamar Jackson is
this week. I think determines. A couple people are getting eliminated this week.
Lamar,
not literally. But.
Lamar's going to run. What's a bad number for Lamar on the ground? 50.
Yeah.
If Lamar has a bad day on the ground, it's 50. If he has a good day, it's like 80. Right. Mm-hmm. And it feels like so you got an extra. Split the difference. 65. He's just got to stay within 65 with the passing. Pretty good quarterback. It's not a bad deal.
But also not get sacked.
Those are all good lines.
Sacks are a good one.
I'm a little confused, and I took the line, so it doesn't help me on this one. Ravens -4? I would think that's 2.5.
They are the home team. They looked great last week, and they were better through the course of the season.
So the 4 doesn't surprise you?
No, it feels about right.
I felt like that would be 2.5, 3. And that they
3 for the home field, and they're, air quote, better, right? Whether they are or not, they're better. They've got the MVP. Even
I would think
the
there's
other
a lot of bets going with the Chiefs on that one.
I just got to know what this is all about. Let's try a quick phone call here. Let's go to Tom in Los Angeles. Tom, you're on with Travis Lee. What's up?
Yeah, hi, guys. I just wanted to comment a little bit on the characterization of Dan Campbell as a meathead because I think it's a common misconception. Obviously, he presents as a meathead because he leads with his heart, especially publicly in press conferences, things like that. Obviously, that opening presser, the media had a lot to say about it and latched onto that as what that guy was all about. But he's heavily involved in the offensive game plan every single game. Their game plan in general is all combined together so that they complement one another. And for a guy who coached the tight end position for as long as he did, which is arguably the most difficult position to coach from a skill position, the thought that this guy is just a meathead who doesn't know anything about football or strategy, I think is a common misconception, and it's exactly what he wants you to think, and that's why the Lions are 7-point dogs, even though I think they'll win by 9 points.
There you go. And Tom, I think you and I are kind of in agreement on this one. Thank you for the phone call. That's why I said Dan Campbell isn't a meathead, but I think he's going to launch a meathead era because what you just described, Tom, is very nuanced. It's accurate, but it's nuanced, right? That he leads, like, for lack of a better way, he presents as a meathead, right? I don't know if NFL owners understand the difference between leading with your heart and talking about biting kneecaps and actually that is the rapping, but here's the actual guy that goes in there and does the work. I think they think, I just need a guy that wants to bite kneecaps and we'll go to the Super Bowl too. That we see so many bad hires. Everybody's chasing the most recent guy.
Sure.
And I think
whatever
that's
the trend is.
Right. Yeah. And Dan Campbell at a glance presents as a meathead. I don't think he is either, Tom. I'm with you on that. Let's try one more. Santa Monica and Patrick. Patrick, you're on with Trav and Slee. What's up?
Hey, guys. How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Yeah, so I heard earlier, I don't know if I caught the whole bit, but my name is Patrick James Acosta II. My father's the first, right? And then I have my son. I got my daughter and my son, and I went ahead and took the easy route and named him Patrick James Acosta III.
Okay.
So how does it work with the whole, you guys were talking about James and Jimmy, but we call my son James, and I don't think I'd call him Jim or Jimmy, but he's just James. He's not Patrick, but his first name is Patrick, but he's James.
Well, if he's James now, he'll probably be James because James is like the formal version of it, right? It's the proper version of it. You usually infantilize it early, and then as you get older, you'd say, I'm not Jimmy anymore, guys, call me James. But if you're James forever, right?
Fair enough. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, I just wanted to get your take on that since I heard that. Going another direction.
Were you ever a Patty?
Yeah, to my mom, I still am, and I'm 31 years old, but I'm still Patty to her.
There you go.
And it's cool. It's cool, you know. But I got a sports question if you guys are interested. I'd rather hear it from the professionals, and I've always had this in mind. It's a Kobe Bryant rest in peace question, but it also goes hand in hand with MJ. So you always hear nowadays MJ versus LeBron for the GOAT, right? Growing up an LA kid, I'm a super Laker fan. So if it goes down to it, it's always been Kobe and Michael for me. You know, Kobe and MJ. How do you guys feel about that? And I have some backing to that, but I wanted to hear what you guys took, your take on it.
Thanks for calling in, Patrick. Yeah, I always hate the comps. I hate the comps of LeBron and Jordan. It's LeBron and Magic. Those are the comps. It's Kobe and Michael. Those are the comps, right? Like if you look at their actual play, those are the proper comps to have. Stylistically. Now, I don't know if his question is saying...
It's not. The question was, why is Kobe not talked about as the greatest player of all time in that conversation? To him, it's either Jordan or Kobe. It's not Jordan or LeBron as the GOAT.
I think the only reason why Kobe's not in that conversation is he played with Shaq for 3 NBA championships, and Shaq won 3 finals MVPs, and Shaq was the most dominating player in that era, and Kobe got his opportunity to do it on his own a little bit later. In a sense, Kobe in those, and it's not trying to take away Kobe's importance in those championships because they don't win without Kobe.
Of course.
But Kobe was almost the Scottie Pippen in that era to Shaq. I know, complete different players. He was the second best player on the team. Shaq was the most dominating player. That's probably why it is.
The Dump is coming up next. It's Trav and Slee, 710 ESPN. But before we do that, Slee, let's talk about Prize Picks.
Yeah,
I mentioned that they're giving you one for McCaffrey, right? Over more or less than a half yard for Christian McCaffrey on the ground. I like your chances to get the over right there. Plus, that's what Prize Picks is. You pick more or less on their projections, and you can win up to 25 times your money. Pick between 2 and 6 players, and you can win big.
Anthony Davis, more than or less than 24.5 points for tonight. 24.5 for AD. What do you think, Trav?
More.
I'm going more. Okay, about DeMar DeRozan, more than or less than 19.5 points.
More.
No Zach LaVine. I'm going more on that one as well. Kind of got some skin in the game. That's what makes it fun. Over 7 million sports fans have already signed up. Trav and I are obviously one of them. Join us. Watch your favorite players and get paid doing it. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use that code 710. That's code 710 on prizepicks.com for a first deposit match of up to $100. It's fun. It's exciting. It gives you some skin in the game. And the thing that I always keep talking about, it makes you watch the entire game. Prize Picks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Coming up today at 1 p.m. on Mason and Ireland. All right, Ireland, I threw a bit out on the air.
Right here, Slee, we talked about the Ravens, the Lions, and the Detroit Lions. If they win the Super Bowl, what does it do for them?
Yeah.
The one we have not talked about is the Chiefs. Is it just as simple as we are officially in a dynasty? Is it just that easy? They'll have won 3. They'll have been to 4 in, what,
3
a
and
5-year
5
window?
years.
Yeah, and especially in the NFL. Come on, like what do you? And it's Mahomes who just continuing to go another. By 28, you already got 3 Super Bowls
and been to 4, and it's it would be the first back-to-back Super Bowls in 20 years. We haven't seen somebody repeat in 20 years. That may be the one reason to pick against them, I guess, is that's a pretty strong trend, but we are officially in dynasty mode. Like right now, it's a great
Baltimore's
run.
winning.
Yeah, that's a different conversation. The conversation is what happens if the Kansas City Chiefs win.
I know, but you think the Chiefs are going to win?
I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's next level. It's like taking and there's certain conversations you could have about certain athletes, and you could appreciate and respect it. And then there's this, okay, well, he is only adding to an unbelievable resume, and I don't know how much different I'm going to look at him. I'm just going to continue to just notch him up a little bit higher.
Even if it went completely off the rails after that, it's a dynasty, because we talk about those Cowboys in the early 90s as a dynasty, right? The Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, they won 3 in 4 years. And that was they were the team of the 90s, right? Because they won 3 in a very short period of time. Like the Patriots thing can't be the standard, because that never happens. You don't have 20 years where you go 7 times. Or no, 9 times. Not even 7. They went 9 times in 20 years. That the Steelers dynasty, the Cowboys of the 90s, the Niners of the 80s, and it would be the Chiefs of the 2020s.
What's also funny too is every year there's this, they're not as good, or they lost this player. It's like,
it's Brady.
Let the dust settle. They're going to be there when the dust settles.
Coach.
Doesn't mean you win it every year, but
quarterback. It was today in 1993, January 25th, that number 1 Kansas lost at home to an unranked Long Beach State team, a team coached by future ESPN analyst Seth Greenberg. And I was still in school when this happened. Long Beach State was and is still in the Big West. This was a huge deal for the conference.
Of course it was.
That Long Beach went into Kansas and took out the number 1 team. It kind of gave the Big West Conference a check mark of approval, like, hey, there are really good players in a mid-major. And this was Big West was sending more than 1 team to the tournament every year at this point.
Yeah, I was. You tell the story about Santa Barbara winning against UNLV.
Yeah,
right?
Who won the national. It was the last game they lost before they went on that run, and
Okay.
they didn't lose again until the Final Four the season after that.
That's why I was, sometimes watching these college games, and you're thinking of, man, can you just imagine being a student of, let's take some of the really, really good schools. If you were a student of Michigan this year, and you just got to watch your team, you're a student there, and then you kind of go next level with teams that aren't supposed to do anything, and they beat a top 10 school or a top 5 school. Those are some of the best memories of your life because you're in college at that time.
The Denver Broncos beat the Green Bay Packers in Super Bowl 32, preventing Brett Favre from winning his 2nd straight. Favre had beaten the New England Patriots the year before with Drew Bledsoe. Terrell Davis rushed for 157 yards, a Super Bowl record 3 touchdowns to lead the Broncos to their first Super Bowl title and break the NFC streak of Super Bowl victories at 13. John Elway won the first Super Bowl ring of his career, and this is the power of a title. John Elway I think he was in the Super Bowl 3 times prior to that, and they'd gotten housed 3 times. Like, not just lost, demolished 3 times before. He wins one. It's like, John Elway's one of the best to ever do it. Before it was, John Elway never wins the big one. One game, he gets helicoptered in the game going into it, and John Elway is tough and awesome and all of these things. It changes everything.
Terrell Davis.
It was Terrell Davis.
Was the man.
It was Terrell Davis, but it kind of also made the legend of John Elway, for sure. You know what we should do right now?
Was that in, you said that one was
San
in
Diego.
San Diego.
It's the first Super Bowl I ever attended in person.
What year was that?
98,
I think.
8, yeah. Packers
and,
Broncos
Broncos.
at Qualcomm was probably still Jack Murphy at the time.
No, it's probably Qualcomm.
Was it Qualcomm then?
And it was, actually, that's a good question. Maybe it was still Jack Murphy. And it was a couple years later, it was the Tampa Raiders Super Bowl in
It
San
wasn't
Diego
Slap
as well.
Happy Stadium?
It was not Slap Happy. Yeah,
Because now it's Slap Happy Stadium, right?
It's
Shadeless Slap Shappy.
Yeah.
currently Slap Happy.
It was called
Slap
Qualcomm
Happy.
at the
I
time.
like that.
They
That's
started. They
catchy
changed the name in
name.
'97.
Somebody should seize on that. You know what we should do, Jorge? We should do a little Super Crosstalk.
ESPN AM 710 Los Angeles.
KRDC AM 1110 Pasadena, Los Angeles.
K256CX 99.1 FM Pasadena, Los Angeles.
It's the greatest segment in LA sports radio history.
Oh my God. When the shows come together for magic on the radio.
It will only grow stronger. Super Crosstalk.
Are we ready for Mason and Ireland to join Travis and Slee?
Super Crosstalk begins. Super Crosstalk presented by In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out. That's what a hamburger is all about.
It's time for Super Crosstalk.
Can I start?
Please.
I would like to say, my first pick in the draft of Jim's.
Yeah.
Gold's Gym.
Thank
I
you.
think that was an excellent creative
Trav, I almost
choice.
texted you and say they said you couldn't use it because it was GYM.
Right.
I almost said, okay, use Slim Jim.
Slim
I
Jim
would
would
have
have been
counted
great.
Slim Jim. I would have counted Slim Jim.
You would.
Well, that's the correct spelling, and they couldn't knock that down.
No, I thought Gold's Gym was
Gold's
a very.
Gym. I thought it was a very ingenious pick.
Mace, we
outside the
voted.
rules.
We voted for it.
Yeah.
And 3 of us voted to allow it.
Well,
We
we're living
still
in a
lost.
dictatorship.
By the way,
Slee.
James
We still
Cameron
lost.
goes by Jim.
That's what I said.
Okay, but you
Everybody
just
calls
said
him
James
Jim
Cameron.
But you know what's interesting? There is something to be said for like names like that. For example, you've never heard anyone call Tom Seaver Tommy.
Right.
Right.
But you've never had anyone call Tommy John Tom.
Tom John.
Yeah.
Tom John.
Yeah.
That sounds weird.
Yeah.
By the way, I
Were you ever a
pretty
Johnny?
Oh yeah, my whole and he was a Stevie.
he's
We
Mike.
both
Yeah, I was a Stevie.
When did you transition?
when I got to college.
Okay.
Yeah.
Although some people still call you Johnny I.
Yeah. All my high school friends call me that.
Yeah.
The Morales calls me that.
I know.
You know.
I think his mic.
By
is
the way, is this no good, Jorge?
It's
Sounds okay to me.
Staticky.
Yeah,
All right, you
Staticky.
can you? All right, here I'll
Yeah,
do-
yeah, just
Make the
you're
transition.
switch.
You're good. You're fine.
Stay on this
Stay
one.
on. Okay.
She's
Yep.
in both.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure.
Every other
Stereo.
word.
Stereo.
I'm pretty sure I've told you guys this story. Bergman gets on me all the time because all my stories I repeat. But did I ever tell you the James Garner story from The Notebook?
No, but I like this.
All
Go
right,
ahead.
This is one of the great baller moves of all time. I love this story. So I'm friends with Kevin Conley, the actor who played E on Entourage. He's a golf buddy of mine, and so he was in The Notebook.
Okay.
He played Ryan Gosling's best friend in The Notebook. And he told me this story about James Garner, and I just think it is the all-time baller move. So if you haven't seen The Notebook, basically it is a movie that's done in flashbacks. James Garner and Jenna Rollins are an older couple. Jenna Rollins is suffering from dementia, so James Garner goes to the home that she's in and reads to her to make her feel better, but she doesn't. It's her husband, but she doesn't recognize who he is. And he reads to her, and every once in a while she'll get a moment of clarity, and then, if you haven't seen The Notebook,
yeah, I mean, so,
I'm with you.
basically
that's
the
most people have seen
stories.
The
What
Notebook,
she
yeah.
figures out eventually is that the stories James Garner is reading to her are about them. It's their life.
Yes.
And then Rachel McAdams and Ryan Gosling play the young James Garner and Jenna Rollins. So Conley tells me this story that he's hanging out with Gosling, and Gosling's looking at the script, and he goes, "You know, I'm in 90% of these scenes, and James Garner is in 10% of these scenes. So it's more about Gosling and McAdams than it is about Garner and Rollins." And Conley goes, "So what's your point?" He goes, "Well, my point is I don't have blue eyes, and Garner has blue eyes, and they just asked me to wear blue contacts. But I'm going to go ask him if he'll wear brown contacts because he's only in 10% of the scenes." So Conley goes, "Yeah, sounds fair to me." Yeah.
Reasonable.
Yeah. So Gosling and Conley's watching all this play out, and Gosling walks up to Garner and he goes, "James," he said, and tells the story I just told you guys. "I'm in 90% of the scenes. You're in 10%. You have blue eyes. They asked me to wear blue contacts. I'm thinking we should flip this. You wear brown contacts. Everything's in." And without even making eye contact with him, Garner looks, he's like reading something. He goes, "Kid, everybody knows Garner has blue eyes." And he gets up and walks out. And Gosling goes,
"That's awesome.
Okay, then.
That's
Guess
awesome.
I'm wearing contacts."
That's movie star, you know what?
Right.
That is awesome.
Kid, everybody knows Garner has blue eyes. And Gosling goes, "Well, that's the end of that."
I was managed by Jim Garner's nutty daughter for a while.
Were you really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she was a manager and a jewelry maker.
Okay.
No wonder I got nowhere. But James Garner had dinner with him, sweetest man in the world.
So, since we're telling Jim Garner stories, I have one. My mom grew up on the west side of town. My mom grew up in Brentwood, Pacific Palisades over there. That's where Jim Garner lived.
Okay.
They were friends with the Garners, and they used to go ride horses on the Garners' property when
Ranch
they
or
would do it.
whatever,
Right?
yeah.
Ranch or whatever it is. So when my mom and dad started dating in college, my dad was a basketball player at the University of Oregon, and they came down to play UCLA and SC. And my mom was going to introduce my dad to her folks. And they were going to meet and go swimming at the Lancasters. Okay.
Burt Lancaster?
And my dad goes, "Oh, you mean like Burt Lancaster?" And my mom goes, "Yes."
Wow. And your dad's like, "Whoa."
They went swimming at the Lancaster's house because that's the neighborhood that they lived in. And that is how my mom and dad, they went to Burt Lancaster's house to go swimming.
Okay, so here, Burt Lancaster, really big swimmer.
Yeah.
Loved to swim. In fact, he made a movie called The Swimmer where he plays this guy in Los Angeles whose goal it is to swim in every pool in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
So he was all in on swimming. I always think of Archie Moonlight Graham before anything.
I do too.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me
because
too.
he's so good in that role.
And when Burt Lancaster was like the biggest movie star in Hollywood, it was the 50s.
Right.
I wasn't born until 1971.
But when he played Archie Graham in Field of Dreams, he just nailed it.
Yeah, so
awesome.
good.
Awesome.
So good.
You threw me off a little bit yesterday,
How's
Mace.
that?
So,
you guys are best
we
friends.
went and did our Olive Garden meal yesterday.
Oh,
right?
yeah, Olive Garden, sure.
So we got we finished the meal about 3:30. It took me a very long time to get home.
That's
yesterday.
a weird time to eat.
and
Were
that's
you like the only people in there?
It
was
okay.
half
full.
Yeah,
But the
okay.
big crowd comes at 4. The seniors come at 4.
We were
2
out.
o'clock. We were probably by like 1:45. We were there.
Yeah. So
1:45 too.
I get back in the car at 3:30, and I'm making my trip back home. It's a couple-hour drive.
Yep.
Yes, at that time. So I get home, and I try not to look at my phone when I'm driving.
Right, yeah.
And sometimes I'm successful, sometimes I'm not. Yesterday I was.
Good.
So I get home, and I take my phone out of the cup holder, and I look at it, and there's a text from you.
Okay, what does it say?
Well, a little background. You and I are friends. We've known each other for long, but we don't trade a ton of texts.
No, we don't actually.
Okay?
Yeah.
So when I got a text from
yeah,
you, I'm like,
it was a pretty random text.
oh, crap, something's going on. Like I thought.
Did Mace get arrested in Orange
I
County?
thought something was up. Like something that maybe it was a question or you're in Orange County, something. I'm like, oh, crap, Mace texted me.
Yeah.
It was about the Rams defensive
Yeah,
coordinator.
no, because what happened was Miami fired Vic Fangio, and Raheem Morris could potentially get in. So I texted Travis and said, well, Vic Fangio would be a great defensive coordinator if we lost Raheem Morris.
No, he's going to go to the Eagles.
Now we find out he's going to the
Basically,
Eagles. But
what
yesterday, he had just been let go.
You caught me by surprise, and I was happy.
I'm going to start sending you random.
I hope so.
Mace,
Yeah,
Trav
random
basically
messages.
said he feels like you guys are closer today
I
than
do.
you
Yeah,
guys were
I do.
24
Made me
hours
feel
ago.
good.
We really connected over Vic Fangio.
Yeah, well, Steve Mason pops up. I'm like, what's going on? Because when you text during the show, doesn't catch me by surprise. You text during the show occasionally, but like John, you will send me golf stuff occasionally, and so when you pop up, not a huge surprise.
Yeah.
I thought something terrible had
Now,
happened.
what's weird is what kind of car are you driving these days?
My Silverado.
Which is how old?
It's new. It's
You just got it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have Apple CarPlay?
It does, but I'm a visual person.
Right.
Like the listening
But
to
if it comes up on your screen, you
have
just
to tap
hit it.
I tap cancel because I don't have the impulse control to not respond to it.
Oh, but
Yeah.
you know you can respond to it
I
verbally.
know, but I don't like that. I like to type
Does
them out.
anybody ever put on their silent notifications, leave me alone?
I don't.
Laura does, apparently.
Oh,
Laura does?
Yeah.
I'll tell you who.
Carlo does.
Carlo does it a lot.
Yeah.
In fact,
Carlo
I think
Saitsu does?
Yeah.
Oh, his notifications are always silent when
Yeah.
I send him a
Silent
text. Yeah.
He always gets right back to me.
I send him a,
Me too, but you always get that his notifications are silent. I guess you can like kind of break through or whatever if you want. I don't know.
I sent him that same Vic Fangio text yesterday, and the silence was notified.
You
And,
talked to him about Vic Fangio too.
You guys were bonding.
You apparently were really desperate to talk to somebody about Vic Fangio.
Vic Fangio. A lot of pub on the show today.
Yeah.
I don't think Raheem Morris is going to wind up getting one of those
What's
jobs. It
bad
doesn't
news
seem
for Raheem
like it.
Morris is good. Raheem Morris is good news for Rams fans.
Yeah.
That if they get to keep him for another season, it sucks that he didn't get a job. If that, in fact, it goes that way.
Right.
But it's good news
Which
for the
jobs
Rams.
are open? The Seattle job?
Seattle is
Atlanta.
open. Atlanta.
Okay, so did you guys hear the latest rumor about Seattle?
No.
About who they're looking at for offensive coordinator? Chip Kelly.
Oh, wow.
As a Bruin fan, do you like that?
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Chip wants to be here.
Yeah.
I mean, he's never happy. He's just a curmudgeon. They won't give him any NIL money, so he can't compete. I think it'd be great for him to go be the offensive coordinator. And I mean,
his NFL.
Dan Lynn was like a huge breakthrough young offensive coordinator.
Yeah, was a Trojan.
USC just came in and said, "What are they paying you? All right, we'll double it.
Yeah.
Come on over."
Well, the weird thing about Seattle's job, and I'm curious to see what they do now, is they say they want to maintain the positive culture that was established by Pete. Now, I'm not sure that Chip fits that
But he
mold.
won't be the head coach. Dan Quinn would be the head coach.
Right. Oh, is Dan Quinn getting the job?
Looks like it.
Looks
yeah.
like
Oh,
it.
okay.
But nothing. If it,
And Dan Quinn worked under Pete in Seattle.
yeah,
Chip
sure, that
Kelly's
makes sense.
NFL resume is not great
But as the head coach.
as the head coach.
But
Coordinator.
as an offensive coordinator, he's almost perfect because all he is.
Has he coordinated in the NFL? I
No,
know
but
he's been other places,
he's-
like at
like
Oregon.
when he was at Philadelphia coaching
Yeah.
the Eagles, he would call the plays, obviously, and he was like the first guy to use those signs on the field. And
Yeah.
go no huddle, and I think.
Although, when was the last time Chip Kelly was truly relevant in terms of offense?
He was an innovator that didn't innovate after he innovated.
He was
if
an
that makes
innovator.
sense.
Oregon was
Like
probably the last time
that
he was-
offense.
Everybody wanted Chip Kelly at some
When
point.
he ran that offense at Oregon, no one else was doing it. Super fast pace, lean, quick, athletic lineman. We're going to run you off the field.
Yep.
Now everybody does
Yeah,
that.
that's the game.
And
so apparently, NFL Schefter's reporting that the Panthers' job is going to be filled by a guy named Dave Canales, who was the Buccaneers' offensive coordinator. So that takes that job down.
Right.
By the way, guys, that leaves Atlanta and Seattle. Is there any more?
No.
Vegas is filled.
the
LA
Callahan
is
kid
filled.
got hired.
Tennessee is filled.
DC.
And the
that's right.
Commanders.
So there are
yeah.
three. Is it possible Belichick doesn't get a job?
He's interviewed.
Seems like Atlanta.
He's interviewed with
By the way,
Atlanta
okay,
now.
let's talk about that
twice.
for a second. Why did you have to interview Bill Belichick a second time? What the hell do you not know about
Okay.
Bill Belichick?
Well,
Are you
you're
sure it's
comparing him
Belichick
to
not
the other
interviewing
people.
Atlanta?
Okay,
I
bring
think
him
you're-
in, get to know him,
Right, but I
interview
think
him.
you're trying to impress him. I don't think
He
I don't
wanted a
think-
second interview?
No, in other words, Arthur Blank flies him to, I don't know, Jamaica or somewhere down there on his super yacht
Okay.
because he wants to impress him, right?
Sure.
I think that multiple teams might be interested in Bill Belichick and what Arthur Blank is doing. Let's give you the best experience you can have in terms of interviewing.
Plus, the other thing is, Trav, keep in mind about levels of management. So when I got a job at KCBS KCAL, I came up here and I met with the news director.
Sure.
And the executive producer of sports. And I cleared that bar.
Sure.
And they said, okay. They called me the next day, and I thought, the phone's ringing. I go, oh, they're going to offer me this job. They go, okay, we need you to come back up here and meet the news director and the GM. So I came back up. I met the news director. The GM wasn't in that day. They said, when can you come back and meet the GM?
Right.
So I had to check
I get it.
certain boxes.
I get
By
it.
the third time, then I was good.
I get that, but if you had Al Michaels' resume, you're not going through 4 layers of interviews.
Right, but see what I'm saying? It's, the interview is in reverse.
That's an interesting way to look at it, because if you just show up with Bill Belichick's resume, I'm interviewing you. You don't get to call me back for a second one.
Correct.
I'll let you know if I want it or not.
Exactly.
Trav, I disagree with you. I don't think Bill Belichick is necessarily a slam dunk.
Absolutely not.
Like, since Tom Brady left, there's tons of questions
I get
would
it.
need to ask
29
him.
and 36.
I get
Just
it.
would- you
Plus
would-
his age,
Mace,
too.
you know what I would compare
71,
this to?
72.
You know, there are certain actors who don't want to read for
Yeah.
parts.
Sure.
But if you're like Scorsese, or if you're like James Cameron, you have to.
Yeah.
But the Falcons aren't Scorsese or Cameron. They're the Falcons. They're a mid-level director at best, and maybe Bill Belichick's resume, not even maybe, Bill Belichick's resume without Tom Brady is mid at best. He's still Bill Belichick. He still has a fistful of rings, and I'm not reading for your supporting part. You can either have me star in this movie or not, but I'm not coming in here and dancing for you.
All right, so somebody just sent me a text that says there is a split between blank and the staff over Belichick. They don't want him. Blank does. So his GM and all of his
guess who's going to win that?
Yeah, blank. But I would not want Bill Belichick.
No, that's a different conversation.
I would not be in the Bill Belichick business.
Nor I wouldn't want to do it either, but that to me feels like a different conversation.
Right.
Because whether he's the right fit or not, sure. But I'm Bill Belichick. It's Robert De Niro walking in for a part. Do you want this or not?
Right.
Is Robert De Niro the guy who was in Raging Bull? No.
Right.
But it's still Robert De Niro.
Well, and the other question is, how long is he going to do it? I mean, 72. How long is he going to do it? Now, in the case of Pete Carroll, who's also 72, in my head, and he's not on the radar for anybody, but in my
shocking
head,
to me, by the way,
the idea would be Pete Carroll with some assistant who he sort of grooms to take over, right? Bill Belichick has never had success with his assistants being able to carry on in other
locations. As a matter of fact, it is a long list of failures of people that were Belichick assistants. None of them have ever been any good.
And 72 is not 70. There's Bill Belichick, 72. Pete Carroll looks like he's 52.
Oh, yeah.
He acts like he's 50. Like
52.
He's just got this incredible vitality to him. I love that the Chargers hired Harbaugh. It's a grand slam, but
Second choice.
I still would have taken Pete Carroll
over Harbaugh
by this much. Like I have no complaints about Harbaugh at all.
Yeah, we were on.
Yeah, it's a grand slam.
Right before we were going into crosstalk.
You happy about it, Slee? You excited for the Chargers?
Not at all.
Yeah,
it's the right hire.
It's a
great
hire.
It's a no-brainer. It's
by the way, and my position has evolved. I went home last night, had a long conversation, talked to some Rams fans, sent you a text about Vic Fangio, and I, John, will continue to root against the Chargers every single week.
No, man, not me either.
Yeah.
I think it'd be
this
great.
is Rams' house.
It'd be great for the city.
But as a Raider fan,
I'm okay with it. Raiders are secure. I mean, they're
secure in what way?
They have more.
They're
fans.
the Raiders.
They have
but
it's
not a fan.
It's more fans.
Competition in the division.
But it's competition.
Yeah.
It's like they haven't been competitive.
You already
in a
have
very
KC
long time.
to worry about.
But Raider fans don't jump ship.
John, you co-signed
Wait a minute. You jumped ship when they traded Khalil Mack. You came on the air and said, I'm no longer a Raiders fan.
Yeah, but I never jumped to another team.
And you went back to the Raiders.
Yeah, I did.
Once you're a Raider, it's a lifetime sentence.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Literally figured.
But people don't know this, but back when I was working at KCBS KCOW, we'd look at all the ratings. Raider games rate higher than Rams or Charger games.
I'm not surprised.
Every week.
No, there's no question. There are a ton of Raider fans here.
It's going to take a long time for that to change.
Yeah.
A really long time for that to change. Super Crosstalks brought to you by In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out, that's what a hamburger is all about.